Hi, and welcome to the Dynamic Duel podcast, where we discuss all things DC and Marvel related, review superhero films, and debate who would win in Marvel vs. DC matchups. I'm Marvelous Joe.
And I'm his twin brother, Johnny DC.
And welcome to the episode where we review Wonder Woman. I know, Jonathan, that you've been looking forward to this for a really long time. I think you lost your shit a couple of times in our previous episodes. So I have to ask you, did you check your expectations?
No.
Was that a good or a bad thing?
It was fine. I mean, I've seen it twice now. So the first time, it's so hard because I get so hyped up for a film because I'm so excited about the characters, and I watch almost everything. So I go into the film with these super high expectations and yet surprised by nothing because I feel like I know the entire story.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard to for it to meet my expectations the first time. But I've seen it twice. The first time I liked it. I mean, there was a level of disappointment there, which I think is kind of inevitable. But the second time, I really liked it. I loved it.
Yeah.
So I'm really eager to talk about it. I thought it was a great film.
Yeah. So we'll be talking about the movie later on in the episode. Before we get into the movie, we'll be going over the latest Marvel and DC movie news events that have happened over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And that includes the whole everything that's going on with the Justice League and Zack Snyder and Joss Whedon. We'll be talking about the new Spider-Man Homecoming, the final trailer for both domestic and international. We'll be talking about, there's been a lot of New Mutants news, including casting and some comments from the director, Josh Boone, about the film that are pretty exciting to me. We'll talk about Doug Limon exiting Justice League Dark. And we'll talk about the piece of shit Sony film that's coming out with Silver Sable, Black Cat. They announced a director and they have a title and everything like that. So, despite my best intentions, it's still happening.
What intentions?
Or wishes, I guess. And then finally, we'll be going over the Supergirl, Flash, and Arrow television shows have all had season finales.
Yeah, just real quick,
weeks,
not recaps, just thoughts.
Real quick on that, though.
Yeah.
Not everybody watches all of those shows. So, but before we get into the news, as always, trivia time. So every episode we give a trivia question regarding Marvel and DC, little tidbits of information. Whoever gets it right on our Twitter, our Facebook, or our Instagram, we'll select a random person who gets it right and give them a no prize. Which is this little JPEG that Jonathan draws for you with your face, and he basically draws you as a superhero. It's pretty cool.
It may be little, but it's a big deal.
So congratulations to @Mike Cusick, who reached out to us on Twitter and answered last episode's trivia question correctly. Last episode's trivia question was, in 1984, DC offered to sell Marvel the publishing rights to DC's characters. What ultimately caused Marvel to back away from DC's deal?
I thought this was a really interesting question, too. Because when you sent it to me, I had no idea that this was even a thing. So, I went online and I researched it, and I was very wrong.
It's an interesting story.
Yeah, it is, totally.
The hint is, in most sites that you go on when they talk about this deal, they'll say that the reason that Marvel backed away from the deal was because they didn't think DC's characters were any good and would make any money.
But that's not the actual story. That's Jim Shooter, I think, gave...
It was his blog.
It was his blog where he revealed the entire, breakdown of what happened.
Yeah. And in it, so in the way the story goes is Jim Shooter was contacted by DC to see if they wanted to buy the publishing rights to their characters.
He worked at Marvel at the time.
Yeah, he went to the president at the time, I forgot his name, but the president was like, no, they're not making any money because the characters aren't good. But Jim Shooter still wrote up a proposal.
Because he knew the characters were good, and he thought they could make money.
Yeah, and he gave it to him, and they went to consultants, and everybody was like, this is a fantastic deal, you can make millions off of this, do it. So the president of Marvel was like, okay, let's do it. So they were going to go ahead with the deal, but so the answer to the trivia question was that First Comics at the time launched a lawsuit against Marvel Comics alleging antitrust allegations.
Yeah.
Or violations, rather.
Yeah, at the time, I think they had, 80% market share?
Yes. Yeah.
So
So they were the Marvel Comics was totally dominating the market at the time, and First Comics felt that if they were to acquire DC, that they would have a monopoly. So, quoting Jim Shooter on his blog, he said, "I think it's safe to say that when you're being sued under antitrust laws, it's a bad time to devour your largest competitor." And ultimately, the suits and lawyers decided to play it safe and backed away from the DC deal. Which is, it would have been interesting to see what would have happened if that deal would have gone through. We would effectively have a shared DC and Marvel universe.
Well, every few, I feel like it's every few 10 years, for the past 20 years, that's always kind of threatened to be the case because Superman keeps getting really, really close to the
public domain.
Yeah, so they have to keep extending public domain.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing, do you think?
I don't want it to happen. I want Superman to exist with the characters that he exists with.
Yeah.
It may be a bad thing because I'm sure you could tell there are a ton of people who could tell some great Superman stories.
Yeah.
But I also think right now there's nothing preventing them from doing that. It may not be published
with the nature of media.
Yeah, with the nature of the internet, anyone can make anything. You look at fan fiction or something like that. I know there's there was a Spider-Man web comic that this girl was doing.
Oh yeah,
and wasn't official, but she Marvel had her write one of their Spider-Man annuals
because it was so good.
Yeah,
yeah,
and people loved it.
Yeah.
So I don't want other people to own Superman.
Well, what I want to see happen is maybe if they can somehow hold on to the rights to these characters as they start approaching public domain, and then just kind of release them all at once. When the last good character approaches public domain, that's when you get rid of all of them.
What is that?
That way you have access to the whole universe. I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know how you would go about doing it, but obviously that's just a fool's dream.
I feel like it's going to be a thing again, in the next 5-10 years, maybe even sooner. I don't know.
Yeah. So I think about 10 years later after this deal that we were talking about in the 80s, Marvel was about to go bankrupt, and it was one of DC's, I think it was Jim Lee. I think he was an editor at the time at DC, and he was about to buy Marvel. So it keeps going back and forth, and I've even heard rumblings in the past year that maybe Disney should buy the DC property.
Yeah. No, please no.
Why? I think it would be fantastic.
No, I think there was also actually a time when I think it was All American Comics. I forgot what DC was before it was DC. I think it was All American, and I think they owned Timely Comics, and they only let them release a handful of comics every month or a year or something like that.
Timely being
Marvel,
the old Marvel. Yeah.
So yeah, it does go back and forth.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, that was the answer to that question. Congrats again to Mike Cusick. The question for this episode is so we figured we go into women creators since this is since Wonder Woman is one of the first and not the first but the greatest woman-led superhero film.
Absolutely the greatest.
Yeah.
And the first in the modern renaissance of superhero films.
Second Renaissance, I think.
Second Renaissance.
Yeah, I think the first Renaissance began with Blade. Second Renaissance began with
Iron Man?
Probably The Dark Knight.
Or Batman Begins.
Anyway, the question for this episode is the woman who modeled for the cover of the first ever appearance of Swamp Thing also created a Marvel character who will make their first film appearance next summer. Who is she? So go ahead and submit your answer to our Instagram, our Twitter, our Facebook. You can find us on all three platforms by searching for Dynamic Duel Podcast, rather. Or you could also email us at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And we will select a random person to receive the no prize.
Yeah.
Who gets it right.
Yeah. Congrats again to Mike Cusick.
Yeah, we'll be giving a hint for this question later on in this episode.
Yeah.
So on to the news.
Yeah. So this is really, really sad. I got really sad when I learned this, and I hate the fact that it's even news. Honestly. So Zack Snyder is stepping down from Justice League because his daughter committed suicide. his daughter's name is Autumn.
Yeah, it's really sad.
In March, and like no one knew about this, and if they did know about it, they didn't tell anyone else. It was really surprising that no one in the comics industry like really had heard about it. It wasn't revealed to the public. Kind of kudos to like everyone who did know about it, who didn't reveal it until they were ready to announce the information. And kudos to Warner Brothers. You know, I've heard so many great things about Warner Brothers about this whole situation.
I heard that they offered to push the release date of Justice League back so that Zack could take the time to cope and then come back and work on the film.
And that's insane. That's it. Like they must. It just shows how valuable they see Zack Snyder as. You know, pushing back their biggest like release of the year, offering to push it back when it's already been pushed back once before. Mm-hmm. That's huge. That's a really big deal.
Yeah. So they were in the middle of reshoots or writing reshoots. They had brought Joss Whedon on to write some of those additional scenes.
Right.
Because Joss Whedon had jump shipped from Marvel to DC. They gave him the Batgirl project, so they asked him to help out with Justice League.
Right. And then, they were going to go back and start the reshoots, but Zack Snyder thought that going back into work was going to be, cathartic, help him move on. But right before they were about to go back, he realized, he's not ready. His family's not ready. You know how much he loved his daughter. He named the Man of Steel shooting title was Autumn Frost.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Huh. And yeah, it seems like it was really, really devastating to him. And the fact that, like, he had to come out and sort of like he couldn't just quit. He couldn't just hand over the reins to Joss Whedon and not let anyone know his secret, because the whole internet would have erupted and been like, haha, Zack Snyder was fired by Warner Brothers, and because there was just so much animosity towards him online.
Yeah. So the fact that this is even news kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Like, it's too bad that it couldn't just be kept a secret.
Right.
Or have people just be cool with it without giving a reason,
Yeah.
But my heart definitely goes out to the Snyder family.
Absolutely.
It's one of the I can't even imagine what it's like to having to go through that. No. And kudos to everyone involved. I mean, the studio and Joss Whedon for stepping up. To support him.
Yeah, our condolences for sure. It's heartbreaking. It's a really heartbreaking story.
Yeah.
Like I don't even like honestly care, if Joss Whedon is taking over or not. Just, it's at this point it's less about, just like some fan film. And Zack Snyder kind of said that too, like he doesn't care what people say, he's beyond caring about that. And I'm kind of the same way, Justice League is it's going to be cool to get that movie, but I respect Zack Snyder as a filmmaker, and I always have.
Would you still feel the same way if it was somebody besides Joss Whedon?
No, I wouldn't have cared who took over, honestly. I mean, to me, this is still going to be Zack Snyder's film.
No matter who takes over.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people are excited that's Joss Whedon, just because of what he's done with Avengers.
Yeah. But the reports are saying that any scenes that he's working on, that he's shooting, are going to be done in the same style that Zack Snyder was doing.
Yeah.
With the film, but prior to the reshoots.
Yeah.
So I totally agree. It's, they announced that Joss Whedon is working on this, but in no way do I think that this will be Joss Whedon's film.
No. And I'm sure it's bittersweet for Joss Whedon too. I mean, he gets to work on both Avengers and Justice League, which should be any like fanboy's dream, but under these circumstances, it's him stepping up to help a friend. Apparently Zack Snyder is the one who came up with the idea for Joss Whedon to take over. He called him personally and was like, "Hey, you're helping us out. Would you also like to just take over?" So the fact that
I didn't read that. He called him?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it wasn't the studio's idea or anything like that. They approached the studio with that idea. So
we haven't had any comment from Joss Whedon regarding the matter yet, and I don't know if we ever will. But just as a news item for the purposes of this podcast, we just want to say that our condolences to the Snyder family.
Yeah, our hearts go out to you, and I'm not sure there's anything else more you could say than that.
All right. On a separate note, the international and domestic final trailers for Spider-Man came out last week.
Yeah.
They're both very different. I noticed most international trailers are only marginally different from domestic, but for this campaign, it's almost like we've gotten like 6 different trailers because the international trailers are very different from domestic.
I was surprised by how different they were, and why? I wonder.
I don't know. The American trailers are very much playing up the whole high school aspect, like
tech aspect.
Yeah, I think they're trying to appeal, to relate to like American teen audiences, whereas like international teen audiences might not have the same like high school experiences as the American teen audiences. So
that makes sense.
I think that's what they're doing. The American domestic trailer, it's the one that starts off with him putting on the suit, and then it like lights up and is like, "Welcome, Peter. You have 300 something web combinations."
Which, I mean, okay, so I liked this trailer, but that left a really bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, "What?
That should not happen."
And I'm not saying so I'm mixed about it because I'm not saying that Spider-Man can never have this kind of technology in his suit. I do think that you should not start off this way.
Yeah, I agree.
I think if you're gonna get to this point, I think it should build up to that.
And he should be the one who builds it.
Right, and he should be
ideally.
Yes. I think one of the best decisions that it seems that this movie is taking, I think I've said it before, is that the suit will not be the suit that he has by the end of the film. I think.
Yeah. It seems like he's going to spend a good time of the portion of the film in his personal self-made suit.
And I think I mentioned in a previous episode too that I hope that he doesn't get the suit back when Tony Stark takes it away from him. I hope he goes back to his old suit, his original suit, and then he builds one trying to emulate that one using his own scientific genius and maybe even introducing some new things. There's nothing that I've seen in this trailer as far as the suit's capabilities go that is like sacrilege, because like the web parachute.
Yeah,
and like
that's a thing.
Like I remember in the old, like, it reminds me of the old Ditko comics where like Spider-Man was able to create like constructs out of his webs, like parachutes, and like he was able to create like a web hang glider.
That was in the Vulture comic, right?
Yeah,
the first appearance of the Vulture. I thought he created a hang glider. Did I make that up?
No, you just made that up.
Okay, totally made that up.
But yeah, he has created things like that. So there's nothing in here that's like out of the realm of possibility of what he could do. Yeah. That being said,
I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it. It feels weird. Don't start off this way. But I mean, it looks like they are. So,
and I mean, honestly, I feel spoiled more by that parachute than I have like anything in the other previous trailers, because I never really felt like those are spoilers. But now I'm like, I was always
in terms of the suit's capabilities, or in terms of plot.
In terms of plot. Because, like, I was, questioning, like, Vulture definitely has air superiority. What's to prevent him from like, carrying Spider-Man up to the stratosphere and dropping him? And now we know the answer to that,
Parachute.
Parachute.
But what happens when he's in his old hoodie costume and he drops him? There you go.
Yeah, I guess.
That's why I'm glad that they're using the old non-tech costume for the final battle.
Yeah.
It looks like. So, at least, I mean... I know there are a lot of people that are not happy with how this suit functions and the AI and everything, and the fact that it talks to him, and it's the voice, so Iron Man-y.
The voice. But Spider-Man should not have a heads-up display, in my opinion.
I don't think so either.
What does he like do? Web targeting with it? I don't know.
Probably.
There were some parts I really liked in this trailer, though, that. Like, I think, like, the churro thing.
Yeah, the whole helping out, like the really low-level crime where he's stopping the bike thief.
Is this anyone's bike?
And he's sitting on the fire escape, and she's like, help this old lady across the street, and she bought me a churro, so that was cool. That, like, we haven't seen, like, that low-level kind of, like, community service kind of superheroics.
Right.
Ever. And I think ever in a film, and I think it's appealing. It's a concept that we haven't seen yet, and it feels fresh.
Yeah.
Like, I almost feel like by the time the Vulture comes along, I'm like, I want to
see more of the neighborhood Spider-Man. Yeah.
Like him trying to swing and knocking over the treehouse.
That was sad when I saw that. I was like, oh.
Poor treehouse.
And he scares those girls with his like wacky eyes.
Yeah. We see the bank scene, the ATM robbery again.
Yeah. You know what else we see again and again and again that I'm really sick of seeing is the whole Robert Downey Jr. leaning over to open the door. Yeah. That's been in every trailer. And now that these are the final trailers, you could say it's been in every trailer.
Yeah, and it's getting less funny with each one too.
Yeah.
I think it was novel like the first time I saw it, and then it's coming every time. So
right.
Yeah. So we see we hear a line from Donald Glover.
Yeah, he looked stoned. He looked stoned when he was like, you need to do better at this, or what do you say?
I think he's just raising his eyebrows a little high and squinting. He's like, you need to get better at this part of the job. I think Spider-Man's trying to intimidate him.
Yeah, he's like, what? I'm intimidating?
Yeah.
That was funny.
That was pretty funny.
That was funny.
We don't really see any new gimmicks from the suit. We do see the training wheels protocol when him and Ned are trying to like hack the suit. You know?
Yeah.
So it looks like I had mentioned it was like a video game concept where new features get unlocked as he progresses using the suit.
Yeah.
So it looks like that's a real thing and that's going to happen.
Do you think Ned's going to actually be able to hack some of the stuff?
I hope at least like they save the operating system and then he starts working on his new suit and they're able to take some of that code and maybe implement it. Because, I mean, it does take some genius to take somebody else's code and apply it to a whole new system, basically. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. That's pretty much it for the domestic. The international trailer was much more focused on the Vulture, and it had some really great moments where he's like Facebook Living or something, or Snapchatting, I think. But you see like behind the scenes footage from Civil War.
Well, it makes him like he's not a photojournalist for the Daily Bugle yet, but he is like a web kind of like blogger for himself,
like a video blogger, a content producer kind of thing. Yeah. So
I thought that was kind of like novel, like it kind of like harkened to that within the comics. You know, he's video recording his battles with the Avengers and stuff like that.
Yeah. I like the scene where he's in the hotel room and Jon Favreau comes in and he's like, we have thin walls here.
I love that. We have thin. Is it? Yeah.
The delivery by Jon Favreau is pretty good.
It's great.
I think they'll. It's weird because like we've seen all these snippets even before. I think it was prior to the Civil War movie. We saw another video where. Oh no! You know what it was? I'm sorry. It was prior to the first Spider-Man trailer. I think where he's in that hotel room and Jon Favreau comes in and he's like, "What are you wearing?" And he's like, "It's my suit." Yeah. And he was like, "Didn't you get the briefcase?" And he was like, "What briefcase?" And then he opens the briefcase and he's like, "Oh, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen." That was prior to the first Spider-Man trailer, and it was more behind the scenes, like mobile footage, just like that.
I think it's gonna be in the film.
I think it's gonna play a minor part in the film. This type of like footage.
I think it's gonna be like opening credits kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool because we've never seen anything like that in these films either. From there, the international trailer moves on to the Vulture, where we see him actually salvaging one of the Avengers battle scenes, and he's like pulling out some objects with like this. It looks like an electric crowbar type thing.
Yeah, and he says like this alien's stuff is really tough. You got to use the same. Stuff they do.
And he's talking to Herman Schultz at the time, who becomes the Shocker. It looks like the Shocker is just coming aboard their salvage team.
Yeah.
And he's like training him or something like that.
Yeah.
So
it was kind of crazy when he like picked up Iron Man's helmet and just like tosses it aside. I was like, oh dude,
well, that's probably good stuff there. Oh, you never know. He might be like tossing it into a pile of good stuff that he takes to the Tinkerer later.
Yeah, maybe.
To like develop. A few new cool things that we saw in this one were Spider-Man shoots the Vulture with his web, and the Vulture is able to like scissor it in half with his feathers.
Yeah.
Like the feathers on his wings are like blades.
Yeah.
Kind of like Archangel in the X-Men kind of.
Yeah.
But used a better effect here than in X-Men Apocalypse movie that came out last year. And what else is new in this one? Not too much, actually. I do love Michael Keaton's line delivery. Like, I think this movie just reminded me, like, how cool he was. Like, back in the, in the late 80s when he was Batman and everything, it's all about his voice. He needs to do more voice work, because that part where that part where he's on the plane here with Spider-Man, and he's like, "You're not gonna stop me," or something like that. I'm like, total badass villain voice.
His voice has always been like really distinct with Batman, with Beetlejuice, even with Birdman.
Yeah, he sounds horrifying right there. I'm like, oh shit, okay, man, I won't F with you anymore. This trailer, the international trailer, ends with the whole Captain America gym class video.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Do you know him?" And he's like, I stole his shield." I saw and I can't remember where I saw it, but I saw an extended version of that scene where he's like, "I stole his shield."
And then he beat me up.
And then he says, "And then he beat me up." Yeah. Which I thought was great. I'm surprised they didn't include it. But they included it somewhere, because I know I've seen it.
Yeah.
I just don't remember where.
Which version did you like more?
Out of the domestic or the international?
Yeah.
I like the international, because I almost feel like this international trailer gave a really good overview of what the plot is without revealing too much. And I almost wish that was the trailer that we got prior to this. Because I feel like it was less spoilery. It was more plot based without giving away the whole freaking, like, how the boat gets saved and everything like that.
Yeah, although,
or did it?
Well, the American version gave that away in this one. No, it was the international one.
Yeah, they still showed that part.
Yeah.
God, I feel like I know most of this movie.
Because that's right, because Tony Stark is berating Peter Parker in the international one.
This is one of those movies where I'm gonna have to see twice in theater, like almost back to back, because when I know this much of the story and I see it, I'm too much in my head.
Yeah.
When I see it the second time, I can just watch it for what it is.
Well, yeah, again, that's what happened with me in Wonder Woman.
Yeah, we'll talk about that whole thing. Yeah. I think I do, some marketing is too much. Too much.
Yeah. I mean,
especially for this movie.
It doesn't help that we do a podcast either. And that we have to watch all of it and talk about it. Oh, we didn't talk about clips or anything like that. But even with the trailers, I felt that way.
I don't watch clips. I'm
no,
like,
no. I learned my lesson.
We don't review clips. We'll just review, the film when it comes out that contains.
I don't want to say I don't watch clips, because like we did for Suicide Squad. I think we did a bit on like a few of the clips.
Did we?
Yeah. Oh, with the Enchantress and her hand. And I think there might have been another one, but. I mean, I recently, middle of last year, I decided no more clips, Jonathan. This has got to stop.
Yeah,
just so I go in with some surprises.
You have to have self-control. Like, I heard some people say that, actually, spoilers don't affect your enjoyment of the movie.
I've said that.
And it's not technically true. Like, I mean, it's exciting to see the clip. When you see it and you still get enjoyment out of that when you see it the first time online, but there's something to be said for watching it in context that adds so much more to it.
Yeah, I think I was talking about it out of my ass when I was saying spoilers don't affect me.
Yeah,
because it did.
It did affect you. It did. Yeah, it has certainly affected me on a few movies. Yeah. What is next on the news docket?
Let's do the Dark Universe thing.
Okay. More bad news for DC.
Yeah. Dark Universe, that's been throwing me off lately, because Universal ended up calling their whole a Universal Monster universe Dark Universe.
I thought this movie was called Justice League Dark.
Well, no, it's not. It's always sort of been, when Guillermo del Toro was writing it, it's been referred to as Dark Universe.
Oh, really?
So yeah, Screw you, Universal, for taking our name. Speaking of Guillermo del Toro, I wish he will step back up, because Doug Liman has exited the film.
I feel like Doug Limon really wants to direct a superhero movie, but also doesn't, because he was attached to Gambit for a really long time.
Yeah, and he left Gambit to do Justice League Dark, to do Dark Universe.
Yeah.
And now I don't know, he's too busy. Well, just do it. Just make the movie. You guys want another film in 2018? You probably can't do this in time, but just do it. He wasn't working on anything else, because again, he left Gambit to work on this. I don't know what the holdup is. Are they waiting for a specific story to tell with him for it to fit in their cinematic universe? I don't think they are, because they didn't need to do that with Suicide Squad. I don't know. I don't know what the holdup is. He says it's because he's directing 2 other films. One of them also being the Edge of Tomorrow sequel. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of disappointed. Not gonna lie.
I don't think he was a great fit for the material anyway. I want like a horror director like Guillermo del Toro to work on it.
Yeah.
WB said they might be eyeing an Argentinian director named Damien Cifron, which I've never seen his work because they've all been foreign. But I think there's been a lot of talent that's come from South America and Mexico, like Guillermo del Toro and Alfonso Cuarón, who did Gravity.
Yeah.
And who's the guy who did Birdman? Iñárritu.
Yes.
Yeah. Like a lot of talent coming from down there that I think foreign directors always appeal to me because they provide a very different perspective naturally. It feels natural.
Yeah.
And I think a horror director, with an alternate perspective would be a perfect fit for a movie like Justice League Dark that is a very different sort of superhero film.
I think when Doug Liman was first announced as being the director, I think we touched on this. I think we talked about like what horror directors we think would have been good. I can't remember the name of the director who did Don't Breathe, but he also did the Evil Dead remake.
Oh yeah, I don't remember.
I know we've spoken about him before. What is his name?
I don't remember. Are you gonna look it up?
Yeah, but I agree. I think this might be good news in a way, just because like now we actually get a chance at doing a horror film director. I think Fede Alvarez. That's his name.
Oh yeah. Yes. See another Hispanic or Mexican director.
Yeah,
that's great at horror. I think James Wan would have made a fantastic director for Justice League Dark too.
That's very true.
He's a great director, and it's Aquaman is lucky to have him.
He sort of like gave birth to the new horror renaissance.
Did
James
he?
Wan, yeah,
you think
with Saw?
Oh, did he? He didn't do the first Saw.
Oh, I thought he did.
I don't think he did.
Okay. I've heard that before. So
he may have directed one of them. I'm most familiar with him through the Conjuring movies.
No, he did direct Saw. He directed the first Saw.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
I did not know that. Wow. The dude's really young too, and the Saw came out a long time ago. So
yeah,
wow,
2004.
That's impressive. But The Conjuring is just those are fantastic scary movies.
I have not seen them because I don't want to be afraid.
I think The Conjuring 2 is better than the first one.
I've heard that. Yeah.
It's worth checking out if you like scary movies. But, bummer news, but I'm not too disappointed because I never thought Doug Liman was the best choice anyway. I was like, well, the guy who directed Born Identity?
I like his films. I mean, he does great. Edge of Tomorrow was really good, and the aliens were really cool. I still think he could have done a good job with the film. But I mean,
I want a more stylized approach.
If you ask me if I would prefer him over Guillermo del Toro, the original guy who like came up with the story and wanted to direct it, Guillermo del Toro all the way.
Yeah, hands down.
I love the Hellboy movies,
Crimson Peak. Have you seen Crimson Peak?
No, not yet.
That is a horror movie that you would love. It has Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah.
It has a fantastic turn of the century, 20th century or 19th century Gothic atmosphere. Kind of like it's very much the spiritual successor to Sleepy Hollow. I think if you like Sleepy Hollow by Tim Burton, it's a lot like Burton.
That. Maybe not Tim Burton. I think Guillermo del Toro is having trouble selling films because I know Crimson Peak didn't do that well in the box office. So I think maybe that's why some studios are afraid of him. Maybe. Who knows?
He's a genius though. So.
He is. He's great.
So. Anyway, look forward to seeing who they get to replace Doug Liman.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's somebody good.
I still want them to make this film. I think they still will, and I can't wait to. Maybe why not? Zack Snyder directed 2 films. Maybe get James Wan to direct 2 DC films.
If Wonder Woman proves to be a financial success, which I think it will, it's already proven a critical success. I think that we're really going to see a lot more DC news coming up because I think they've kind of been holding off due to the tepid response to most of their films. Mm-hmm. Now that they have this success, I think you're gonna see a lot of these fast tracked.
That's true because I know a lot of news outlets they feed off of clickbait articles where it's like, oh, DC is doing this again and DC is doing this, even though people haven't been really caring for their movies. And now that we have a critical success, And I say we because I'm a part of it.
You got to stop doing that.
No. I agree. I think a lot of news will come. I think Comic-Con is going to be huge. If Marvel does not announce Fantastic Four as being part of their Phase 4, I think DC is going to win Comic-Con for the third year in a row.
Third year in a row? Who declares this?
Oh, me.
That's dumb.
No, they've won like 3 years in a row.
No, they haven't.
Or this will be their third year that they win. Unless Marvel, again, the whole Phase 4 thing with Fantastic Four, if they do that, then DC's fucked. Because that is the biggest news ever.
Ugh. All right, is that it for that news?
Yeah.
Okay, so New Mutants. A lot of casting news has come out. We have... So last episode we announced that Anya Taylor-Joy was cast as...
Yeah, I think we pronounced her name like 3 different ways.
I think we said like Anya.
It's Anya.
Anya Taylor-Joy has been cast as Magic, and Maisie Williams was cast as Wolfsbane. This past week, we got even more news. Josh Boone, who was... I'm sorry, not Josh Boone. Josh Boone is the director. Charlie Heaton, who was from Stranger Things. Mm-hmm. He was the older brother to the kid that got taken into the Upside Down.
Did you finally see Stranger Things?
Oh, yeah, it's so fantastic.
Okay, yeah, I loved it.
So
this is great casting.
Perfect casting.
The kid looks dark, and he has good hair for Cannonball.
Yeah, he does have good... He does have good hair for Cannonball. He looks exactly like him from the comics, I think. So he's been cast as Cannonball, who of course has the power to create this force field and fly. I think. So in Deadpool, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, when I first saw the way they portrayed her powers, it was in one of the trailers. Mm-hmm. I was like, those are Cannonball's powers. So I'm wondering how they're gonna depict the use of his force blast differently than Negasonic Teenage Warheads in Deadpool.
He can't create force fields. He just
creates
energy around him.
It's a blasting force field. Like he can fly really fast.
Yeah.
And as he's flying, there's a force field around him that's impenetrable.
I thought it was just energy.
It's like an energy force field.
Okay. It's a cool power.
It is a cool power. And Negasonic Teenage Warheads in Deadpool, I mean, it looks like how Cannonball is portrayed in the comics, but her main ability is to explode herself. And obviously that's a superpower that they invented for that movie. Yeah. She's originally a telepath. But anyway, that's just the first thing I thought of when I saw Negasonic Teenage Warheads' power was that's Cannonball. So hopefully they portray it differently.
They're going to portray it differently.
I hope it's
I think there's a bunch of different ways you can portray that.
Maybe more you can barely see him. He almost looks like a comet flying, kind of.
Maybe.
I don't know. Anyway, so Henry Zaga was cast as Sunspot, and not too familiar with his work. I know that he's in 13 Reasons Why, which is a big hit right now.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Looks depressing.
Yeah, super depressing.
But I saw photos of the actor, and he looks the part. I like the actor that they cast in X-Men Apocalypse. X-Men Days of Future Past. I'm sorry. I thought he was a pretty good Sunspot too, even though he had a minor role. He looked the part. But
that's right. He was in that movie, wasn't he?
Yes.
Why? Use that same. Damn it.
Well, he was a little bit older in that.
True.
So they're going younger definitely with this team.
Yeah.
Blue Hunt, who is actually a newcomer. She's only been in a few things. She's been cast as Danielle Moonstar.
She looks the part, I think.
Yeah?
Yeah,
I think so too. She's part Native American, I think, which is important. And apparently she's the main character of the movie, which makes sense because she was pretty much the main character of the whole Demon Bear saga, which is what this movie is supposed to be based off of. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, director Josh Boone has come out and been quoted as saying that this New Mutants movie is a full-fledged horror movie within the X-Men universe, which I think is freaking fantastic because we have not had a horror superhero film yet.
Yeah.
So you take these horror, the main horror theme kind of trope is survival. And when you give your protagonists superpowers, I think that's something new to the horror genre and the superhero genre. I've always wanted to see how would name a horror film, any horror film,
Exorcist.
Okay, so what if the mom had superpowers? how would that have gone differently?
Or The Descent or something.
Yeah, The Descent, Scream, whatever.
Yeah.
It'll be an interesting take on it, I think. And the Demon Bear saga, it was drawn. It was back in the 80s. It was drawn by Bill Sienkiewicz.
Yeah, I remember
Whose artwork is haunting. Like it's some of the most unique, and a lot of times it's not always great. But when he's like doing covers and the splash pages and things like that, when he's really on his game, it's some of the best artwork out there. I really enjoyed his stuff on Moon Knight. Really enjoyed his stuff
distinct.
On the Demon Bear saga. It's scary almost at some points.
Yeah,
I think the Demon Bear is very scary, and I'm really looking forward to how they're doing it. Like there was a quote from Josh Boone where he says, let me pull it up. He says that they're held in a secret facility against their will. 5 new mutants have to battle the dangers of their powers as well as the sins of their past. So that doesn't really sound like the Demon Bear saga.
No,
but
that's what the animatic made it look like.
Yeah,
that they released a while ago.
Yeah. But I do think that this film is still adapting the Demon Bear saga, and
he's also said like no costumes are going to be in this film.
Yeah, and that's fine with me. Due to the nature of the story.
Yeah.
I think that's fine.
I was kind of hoping, honestly, that Justice League Dark was going to be like the first horror superhero film. But I'm definitely curious to see how this turns out.
I think they'll be very different. I don't know.
Yeah, because I don't really see Justice League Dark. It'll have horror elements, but I don't see it being like survival horror.
Yeah.
In the same way that this one would be.
Yeah. I'm assuming that they're trying to survive against the Demon Bear, and the Demon Bear is out to get, Moonstar, or Mirage, or whatever her name is.
Totally makes sense that they would cast Anya Taylor-Joy. All she's really done is horror films.
Well, in the comics, like the Demon Bear, like took, if I'm trying to remember this correctly, he took them to this different realm.
Was it Limbo?
No, it wasn't Limbo. I forgot what the realm was called, but like I'm wondering if that's what this like quote facility thing is that they're talking about. Or like the Demon Bear like takes him to like this facility / realm or whatever, and he's like Freddy Krueger basically. There. This will be like the Freddy Krueger of superhero films, and there's like a group of teens trying to team up.
Sold.
Like Demon Bear is kind of like Freddy Krueger with his big old knife claw hands thing, and he appears to Moonstar in her dreams and everything, So and sometimes like things manifest in the real world with her illusion casting powers,
Right.
So God, it'll be awesome. It'll be awesome. Can't wait.
This is a great cast.
Yeah. Oh, Rosario Dawson is.
That's right.
Is in it. She's gonna be Dr. Cecilia Reyes, who was a minor character in the X-Men universe. She could create a force field.
That's right.
I remember I'm minorly familiar with the character. Back in the late '90s, I remember she was in the run where they first introduced the Prime Sentinels.
Yeah,
and that's what I remember her from. I guess she's a mentor to these kids.
I remember that cover. It was like an homage to like the like Wolverine, Storm, Nightcrawler, Colossus when they introduced those characters in the X-Men.
Giant size X-Men.
Yeah, giant size. Yeah, exactly. But this cover was like Maggot, Cecilia.
Yeah.
Was it Cannonball?
Marrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that sort of wave of
super
X-Men.
lame.
Yeah.
Some of the lamest mutants ever made. I think Cecilia Reyes was probably the best one to come out of that whole generation right there.
Yeah. How do you feel about Rosario Dawson doing X-Men?
I think it's interesting that she's making the jump from the MCU to Fox, the Fox X-Men verse.
Yeah.
It makes me even more convinced that she's probably not going to survive through the Defenders show.
Yeah. I still get that same feeling.
Yeah. So we'll see. All right. So
Silver and Black.
Yeah, Silver and Black news. Okay. God,
I don't know, man. You were saying the same thing about Venom, and then all of a sudden, in the last episode, you bandwagon jumped.
So what we're talking about here is the Sony project. They have a script that stars Silver Sable and Black Cat.
Yeah.
And they came up with and the name of the movie is going to be Silver and Black. Which I think is the stupidest shit ever. Like, not even for a porno film would I call my movie Silver and Black.
What?
Like, it's just, it's so bad. It's like, oh, look, they both have colors in their names. Let's just take the colors and call it Silver and Black. It's like, I mean,
I don't think it's as bad as you claim. They were talking about doing a Blue Beetle and Booster Gold film and calling that Blue and Gold.
that's horrible. I don't like that either. It rubs me the wrong way for sure. Gina Prince Bythewood has been announced as the director.
Not familiar with her at all.
She has she's directed some smaller films, Secret Life of Bees, Love and Basketball, like smaller drama kind of films, which this movie doesn't feel like it would be. Kind of like I would imagine like a Black Cat, Silver Sable film to be like this super sexy action packed movie,
like Atomic Blonde or something like
Atomic
that, except
Blonde.
not rated R.
Right, exactly. So I still don't know what to think about this. Like, I really wish they weren't making this because, like I said, like you could do a compelling Venom movie outside of the Spider-Man universe and then hopefully eventually fold them in, which I don't think they'll do. But it's really hard to, like, I don't want to see them make a Black Cat film because I really want Black Cat to be part eventually of the Spider-Man cinematic Marvel Cinematic Universe. I could care less about Silver Sable. I just don't want them to make a movie with her because I think she's too similar to Black Widow, and I really want them to make a Black Widow film, and I'm afraid they might balk at it if they already have this Silver Sable film, which obviously is going to bomb, and so it's it's going to be like it's going to put a chilling effect on any sort of development for the Black Widow film, I feel.
So I think if it's a failure, they're not going to want to make Black Widow, and if it's a success, they're not going to want to make Black Widow because then it's competition.
Exactly.
So you're screwed.
Yeah, screwed either way.
Like anyone who wanted a Black Widow film, sorry.
It's rare that I ever hope for a superhero film to bomb. I've done it once or twice before. I did it with the Josh Trank Fantastic Four film. Like I wanted that to bomb.
You willed that into bombing,
and it happened, which I was actually thankful for because I just I figured it was one step closer to getting the rights back. I mean, if it was a success, it would have been good that we would have had a good film, but it would ultimately been disappointing to me because again, I want the rights to go back to Marvel for the Fantastic Four because I feel like they could introduce them with the other characters, which would be cool to see. But yeah, this one, I hope it bombs, honestly. Like, I'll go see it, obviously, so I'm part of the problem. But I really don't want it to succeed. Unless, I'm trying to think of what might change my mind. Like, with Venom, the fact that they got the talent that they did.
And also the fact that a movie like Life has come out, which is essentially, like, a way you could do Venom successfully.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can see how that could work. I don't know what it would take for you to convince me that this Silver and Black film would work.
Well, they say it's the plan for it is to sort of lead into a Spider-Verse all-team superhero film
with Jessica Drew,
with Firestar.
Yeah.
And maybe like what's her name, Silk or Spider-Woman or maybe even Spider-Gwen.
Yeah. Like a super team of superhero women.
Yeah.
Which I think is cool in concept. But a lot of those characters I think would be better served elsewhere, honestly. I think Sony is shooting themselves in the foot with this.
I mean, if Wonder Woman, it's doing pretty good so far in its first few opening days. I think, again, if it's a financial success, which I think it will be, this is kind of genius of Sony, honestly, to do it before anyone else. Get this out there.
Have a bomb.
Who knows?
We'll see. All right, that's all I have to say about that. It just sucks. Bad news for me. A lot of bad news this episode. What's up with that? All right. So
sorry, there's hope. There's hope later on.
Yes. Okay. We're gonna build it back up, folks.
Yeah. So before we get into the review, Supergirl, Flash, and Arrow both ended their seasons week before last. So wanted to give just a quick recap. Supergirl this season was all about. It was very topical.
Yeah.
I was really surprised how topical it managed to be for the episodes being written.
In terms of what?
Xenophobia.
Oh, okay.
It was all about like people who are welcoming towards aliens and people who aren't.
Okay.
And then her sister Alex Danvers like came out of the closet. So there's that aspect, and then it's a very just like
So it was tackling the issues of the day.
yeah exactly.
That's good. I like it when media can do that.
Yeah. And so Supergirl. The season started off with the introduction of Mon-El. Do you remember Mon-El?
Nope.
He's in the Legion of Superheroes. He's a Daxamite. It's like a sister planet to Krypton.
Really?
They're weak to lead.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. So weak to bullets, which is stupid. So this season dealt with Mon-El also surviving because when Krypton exploded, it like destroyed the neighboring planet Daxam as well.
Okay.
So having him on board, the guy who plays him, I forget his name, he was a really good actor, and so they had like this romantic relationship between the two characters, which was pretty good. Kind of like drove the whole season forward.
This was the season that had Superman as a guest star. Yes.
Yeah, he was in there twice. He was in there the opening episode, and Tyler Hoechlin. And he was a pretty good Superman. He was a little scrawny, and he kind of had like this like lisp thing going. But I know a lot of people really liked his like Clark Kent. It's very different from the Henry Cavill Superman. It's a lot more Christopher Reeves.
Really?
Yeah. And yeah, I didn't really care too much for the suit, but it was all right. The show's special effects have always kind of been but I thought they did really good with Superman.
Yeah.
So that was exciting. Overall, the season I would say was as good as the first season. Maybe there were a lot of episodes that I didn't really care for. Honestly, I may not be like the key target demographic because sometimes I just have to like kind of groan and be like, all right.
You gave season 1 3.5 stars.
Yeah, I think I'll give this one 3.5 as well. Because I definitely don't think it was as strong as other Arrowverse television shows.
Okay. Like,
well, I was gonna say Flash, but then I'm giving the Flash 3.5 stars. This one.
Oh, you are? So not as good as the...
Yeah, this is the lowest rating I've given the Flash shows. The villain.
That's right, because you gave both previous seasons 4 stars.
Yeah, the villain of this one was another speedster.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, damn it! Like right when the season started, I was like,
so
damn it!
The primary antagonist for each of these seasons has been another speedster.
Yes, yeah.
The first season was Zoom.
No, Reverse Flash.
Reverse Flash. Second season was Zoom.
Second season was Zoom.
This one was
Savitar.
Okay.
Huh. Which he was a character in the comics, but I don't. This was like completely removed from that. Spoiler alert.
No, don't give spoilers.
Okay, I won't give spoilers. It just I didn't really care for like the twist reveal of who Savitar was. Mm-hmm. I think there's so many speedsters on the show now. Honestly, I mean the Flash is still a good show, but it got dark this season, and like,
isn't that good? Isn't that cool?
No, because like the Flash has always been like the funny show, and this time it got like really like kind of emo in a. I guess emo is a word that I could use to describe it in a way.
Okay.
It was like what they tried to do with Spider-Man 3. I feel like
in terms of how that got dark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it wasn't successful. It made me wish like, it was not as dark. I don't need that much gravitas when it's like a silly CW show,
Okay.
Or an attempt at gravitas.
Interesting. Would you say the same if it was Arrow?
No, actually, Arrow I liked it a lot this season.
You were going to drop off last season.
I was.
Yeah.
I was.
So they kind of turned it around, huh?
This season finale is the best, like, Arrowverse season finale ever in the history of all the shows. It's so mind-blowing, and it left off on such a cliffhanger. I'm dying to know what happens next. And I can't give away any spoilers, but the villain for this season was Prometheus. And he's not like the Prometheus from the comics. It was very different.
Where he could like download data to his brain and stuff.
Yeah, and then like yours like a knight's kind of like
helmet.
Yeah, no. But just coming off from last season, which wasn't really that great and dealt with a lot with like magic and stuff like that. This season really went like back to basics, and like they didn't like play up the romantic angle with Felicity, which was, thank goodness. That was great. And he builds a new team, including like Mr. Terrific and Wild Dog and stuff like that.
I always like Mr. Terrific.
He never busts out the T-spheres. I'm still waiting for that.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Really? He doesn't have T-spheres?
No.
I thought I saw a clip where he had a T-sphere.
No.
No? Okay, I just made that up. So he's just like a fighter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he's an Olympic level athlete. But he serves sort of as like the team's like brain as well. He's one of the tech people.
Okay.
But the last few episodes and the flashbacks. So the whole season came full circle with this 5th season because the
whole show came full circle?
The whole show came full circle because when the season started, they flashed back to like they've always done flashbacks throughout the whole series to when he was on the island, which was 5 years prior. So this episode, the flashbacks ended where the first episode of the first season began.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then
they should end the show then. No.
Well, they're not. And then we had Deathstroke again in this season, which Prometheus wasn't as good as Deathstroke. Because Deathstroke was freaking awesome in season 2.
Season 2, yeah.
But it was just great to see him again and see him, just kick ass and just knowing like the history that he has with those characters and stuff like that. It was really cool that they were able to get what is his name, Manu Bennett back. And like they left like this really interesting. This isn't really a spoiler, but they mention his son,
Oliver Queen's son.
Well, not Oliver Queen's son. Oliver Queen does have a son, but Deathstroke's son.
Okay.
And
I don't know who that is.
Jericho. He was a Teen Titan.
Okay.
I'm wondering, because Greg Berlanti is doing the new Titan series, if they're going to involve Deathstroke in any way. Because Deathstroke like started off as a main Teen Titan villain.
Right.
So I'm wondering if they're setting him up for that. I hope they are.
That'd be cool.
That'd be really cool. So I'm giving this season of Arrow 4 stars.
Same as season 2?
Did I give season 2 4 stars?
Yes.
No, I gave season 2 4.5.
4.5 stars.
That was definitely the best season.
Okay, so 4. So
this one was really good, though.
Not as good as season 2, but just under it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. But better than season 1.
Yeah. And again, I don't watch Gotham. I feel like I should be, honestly, but I don't, because I need to have a life outside of watching superhero shows.
There are a lot of DC shows, and with Black Lightning coming out soon,
Black Lightning, and then once eventually,
at least
Young Justice does come out, and the Titans show. Yeah, that's gonna be hard.
I was gonna say at least I can binge mine, like the Netflix shows. A lot of the Marvel TV shows I can binge, including the upcoming Runaways and stuff.
Yeah,
I could binge them like one sitting, so I don't have to spread it out.
Or like on Hulu.
Yeah.
Well, Hulu still releases stuff once a week.
Right, but I have to make it a weekly chore, as opposed to just watching all the episodes through, which I prefer to do with multiple season shows.
Uh-huh.
So yeah. Anyway, that does it for the news. You ready to talk about Wonder Woman?
Heck yes, I am.
Is this going to be like a 4-hour review?
Heck yes, it is.
All right, we're in it for the long haul, folks. It won't be 4 hours, I swear.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back.
Okay, so, Wonder Woman. I have to admit,
You didn't check your expectations like I told you to?
No. I was gonna say, like, I've never really looked forward to a Wonder Woman film as much as like the next Superman or Batman film.
Okay.
Like,
just appeals less to you as a character?
I guess, yeah. I've always really, really liked like Superman and Batman. Like, if I could get tattoos, it would be of the Superman and Batman
You can't
logos.
get tattoos?
I can. I just chicken out.
I have a Captain America tattoo.
Yeah, well, we were supposed to get tattoos on our 21st birthday, and I chickened out. Anyway, But honestly, like, you kept telling me to check my expectations. I did get overhyped for this. Starting from last year, from the first trailer that I saw, I've been just every new trailer that's been coming out, every new piece of news and information that's been coming out, I've been so insanely hyped for this. And I think, as we mentioned earlier, I think it kind of did hurt my first viewing of the film. I've seen it twice now. The first film, like, again, I've mentioned, like, there were no real surprises.
The first time you saw the film?
Yeah, the first time I saw the film. I felt like I'd seen so much of it just from the trailers and stuff like that. Like, I felt like I knew what was everything that was coming.
Did you read a lot of reviews before you saw the film?
I read a few, but nothing spoilery. That being said, I still liked the film. I still liked it the first time I saw it. Second time I saw it alone. I sat next to two sweet old ladies who really obviously liked Wonder Woman and just cracking up the whole time for every joke. I loved the film.
Yeah. So
good. Such a good film.
I had to say, I have also seen it twice. I saw it the second time this morning in theaters, and I think that the flaws were still apparent to me on the second viewing, but I cared less about them, I guess. Like, my primary issue with the film has everything to do with pacing and plotting. I think the film was overlong. I think it could have been tightened up. I think the second act should have lent some of its time to the first act. But that being said, when you watch it a second time and you already know when everything's going to happen and how much longer you have until this happens and blah, 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 it doesn't matter. It was a great film the second time I saw it.
The first act is really buttoned up. Like, it's really, really tight.
Yes.
But
and the second act is the opposite. It's very loose.
I actually really liked the first act. I like this whole movie. There's so many things to like about this movie.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I would agree.
It's this like, it reminds me of why I really like superhero films and why I have a podcast dedicated to that. It was just, it was a real, like, I wouldn't say it was, like, as fun as Guardians of the Galaxy or as, like, intriguing as Batman versus Superman, or maybe even as the
ultimate cut.
The ultimate cut. The other one doesn't exist. The theatrical version doesn't exist. Yeah. Or maybe even as, like, awe-inspiring as Superman was. But this was, like, really, like, optimistic and idealistic and really hopeful. It's like everyone who's been talking about DC Comics and how dark they are and stuff like that, this really brings the idealism forward, the hope forward. And it was just a good feeling. Like, it's a good feel-good film. I really liked it. It's just the right amount of humor, the right amount of action. The acting is great. Gal Gadot's fantastic as Diana.
Yeah.
I thought she was really good.
She's very emotive. Like, I was totally unsure on what her acting would be like going into this film. I wasn't expecting much, and my expectations were exceeded. I think she is really good at drawing in empathy.
Yeah.
This is like the third, emotional superhero film we've had this year with Logan, the death of Logan, and then Guardians of the Galaxy 2. The death of Yondu, that final scene with fireworks.
I didn't find that
emotional. It was more emotional than what you typically get in superhero films. And now this one, both when spoilers, by the way.
Spoiler review.
Spoiler review. All of our reviews are spoiler reviews. When Antiope died and when Steve died, I got choked up a little bit. She was really good at drawing out that emotion. Like, when she was, like, saying no, she was crying out no when Antiope died. Like, I really felt it. She's really good at selling that.
And, even the second time I saw it, like, it wasn't just, like, a one-time thing. Antiope's death was probably, like, the one surprise that I had. I did not see that coming.
I didn't see that coming either.
I was like, what? She's Robin Wright. What are you doing? She's a fantastic actress.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
I thought she had a bigger role. And that kind of goes into my whole criticism with the first act. You're right. It's really tight. It's a little bit too buttoned up. They could have spent a lot more time on Themyscira and with Robin Wright. I feel like she could have had a bigger role because, to me, despite her limited screen time, she was one of the more intriguing characters, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
She did a great job with what little time she had.
Yeah. Let's go into the first act. So, the film starts off with her working at the Louvre. She gets the photo from Bruce Wayne, and it's a framed narrative. which I'm always a big fan of.
Yeah.
Like ever since Batman Begins, like I've always enjoyed a good framed narrative. Is great. And I think they tried to do that with Man of Steel, maybe to a certain extent. Like it definitely had.
With the flashbacks and stuff.
Yeah. And then from there you go right into the story. With Diana as a little girl and Themyscira just wanting to be a warrior.
Why does she want to be a warrior, though, do you think?
I think it's
the influences in her life.
After seeing all those badass Amazons training, I want to be a warrior too.
One of the other problems I had with this movie, and you might be able to clear this up for me, is I was trying to figure out exactly what Diana's motivations were in this film. Like it starts off and you see her just like this ornery little kid, like this ornery, violent little kid.
What the heck?
It was like if I saw my niece like going, yeah, I'm punching and killing and kicking, I'm like, take it easy, dude, you know. But I'm trying to figure out what her motivations were, and I feel like it was similar to I don't know, like Steve Rogers' motivation, which is like this sense of duty and honor and things like that. Mm-hmm. Do you think that works as motivation?
Yeah, I think her motivation was ultimately to be an Amazon. Because, like her mom said when, after they interrogated Steve Rogers, you're not one. You're not an Amazon.
Yeah.
And I think she's kind of, she grew up the only kid on the island just looking up to these women who are all badasses.
Yeah.
Like every single woman there was a badass. And, she's a little kid and she probably feels powerless. So she probably wants to be them. Yeah,
I could see how she could somewhat feel like an outcast. I guess my issue with the film is that they spent so little time in that first act on Themyscira that they didn't really delve into that aspect.
I think it still worked though. Like it's that's not too big of an issue for me because I think it's easy to see that I don't think you need when a little kid wants something. I'm not sure you need to delve into the why of that because little kids just like what they like, I think as long as you establish that as little kids she wanted to be a warrior, you don't need much more backstory as to in the future why she would maybe be encouraged to go out and fight for her people because she grew up listening to stories like that,
Yeah.
So yeah. I think it works.
What did you think of that story?
I thought that was fucking badass. I loved that. It was totally like 300 to me. Like I totally saw Zack Snyder in that.
So if I understand it correctly, Zeus created man.
Yes.
Ares grew jealous of man.
Yes.
Kind of like Lucifer.
It's very much a Judeo-Christian kind of take on Greek mythology.
Yeah. With Ares
being Lucifer. Yeah.
So Ares decided to corrupt man and lead them to destroy each other. Zeus then created the Amazons
to inspire and protect.
To protect and inspire man, but I guess man revolted against the Amazons and enslaved them.
Yeah.
And then to help free the Amazons, Zeus enlisted the help of the gods, who Ares attacked and killed.
Yeah, because... Yeah.
Okay. See, now it's not 100% clear the first time you hear it. It's a little convoluted. It's not...
It goes by fast. You have to be paying attention for sure.
Even despite the fact that it's like a picture book kind of thing, you still have to, you really have to be paying attention.
It was so Michelangelo. It was so badass.
What?
So Sistine Chapel. I want the whole story painted on my wall, on my ceiling. It's just a great take on the mythology, like with Zeus and all the, Greek gods. The fact that like Zeus, just the mythology around this god killer that little Diana like sort of made up.
Yeah.
When her mom was telling her the story about how Zeus gave them a weapon capable of stopping Ares, and then, like, in his last breath, created the Paradise Island, Themyscira.
Yeah, they kind of altered the mythology to suit their purposes, but I mean, Thor does the same thing, so.
Yeah.
It's like the superhero version of the mythology.
Yeah, exactly. And just Ares, I think. Like, he wasn't, like, a big, with the whole twist that they did, like, he wasn't, you didn't know that he was a big force in the film, really. Like, you a lot of people, I imagine, believe, what Diana believed, that Ludendorff was Ares.
Yeah.
But...
You didn't, though, because you knew that twist.
Yeah, I knew the twist.
Did that suck? I bet you it was pretty pretty good twist, or a surprising twist. I don't know if it was a good twist because I'm not sure it was entirely necessary. It was just a twist for the sake of being a twist, but it was surprising nonetheless. So it was successful in that regard.
When the twist did come, this is jumping to the end, but one of my favorite parts of the film was just the depiction of Ares. And not even even before he got suited up, but just like when Diana was like moving across the windows, it was it was kind of horrifying. He's absolutely Lucifer. She's fighting the devil in this film. It was very he was very like serpent link and just he
was still a
devious,
mustache twirly.
A little. It was really well played, though, I guess. Just like his outlook over humanity. Just he just sees us as less than nothing, And it's sort of like Wonder Woman is battling cynicism, incarnate, And it's again, this whole film it's so optimistic. I can't think of all the superhero films that came out last year, and all of them had cynical heroes. To an extent. From
Captain America in Civil War? Captain America is very much the same type of hero. He's anti-cynicism.
He's sort of the exception. But Iron Man, Batman, it was sort of had a nihilistic edge. Even Doctor Strange, he was kind of an asshole. This was so refreshing. It felt kind of like a good old-fashioned origin story.
Well, it was an origin story.
It absolutely was. Yeah, I think it's probably the best one since Iron Man, or Batman Begins.
Yeah,
like Iron Man, Batman Begins, on those
levels.
And Wonder Woman are probably the three best origin stories we've seen on screen.
Yes, I would agree with that.
I think in the new sort of age. Yes, post Batman Begins.
I think the first Spider-Man movie would be up there too, but
yeah.
But origin stories are really hard to get right. They're a little bit trickier, and I think this one pulled it off really well.
And I think it did it without, because in so many Marvel movies, in the origin story, the bad guy is just the
antithesis.
I don't want to say antithesis. They have the same exact powers as the hero.
Yeah,
and
so did this one.
No, it didn't.
Well, she was kind of getting his same powers by the end.
Oh, I guess you can make that argument.
They're pretty much they're brother and sister. They're the same.
You're right. No, because she even developed a sort of telekinesis towards the end there.
Yeah.
And the lightning bolts.
I think hers manifests her telekinetic power, god powers, or whatever, manifests as more defensively.
Yeah.
With a force field kind of thing.
Yeah.
To me, I remember we were speaking in a previous episode how I said it wouldn't make sense for Ares to wield lightning bolts. It wouldn't make sense mythology-wise. But I think the way that this interpreted it, and this is the way I certainly interpreted it, was that lightning is not Zeus's power. It is
a
manifestation of god power.
Yeah.
So when she's playing with it around her bracelets, and she's looking at it and I wonder,
so cool.
she's kind of figuring it out. She's figuring out her god power.
Yeah.
Lightning is the power of the gods, not just Zeus.
Yeah, and I mean it makes sense because they're both children of Zeus. It makes sense that they would inherit his power, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So it was interesting, back at the beginning of the movie when she's going through her training, when she first starts to manifest her power. It comes from her bracers.
Bracers?
Another name for gauntlets.
Oh, okay.
Her bracelets.
Cool.
And they never really explained why.
I think that has to go into the whole the fact that the first act was too buttoned up. She manifests this power that apparently I think they allude to the fact that she's never seen this ability before. It comes as a surprise to her, and they don't really address it. She just oh, and then she walks off.
I'm sorry for hurting you. Then people give her weird looks.
Yeah, but I was surprised when all of a sudden Steve Trevor came, because I thought he was going to come for at least 10 more minutes.
I just they never addressed the bracers that anyone wore. The silver bracelets.
Oh yeah.
Why are the Amazons wearing bracelets to begin with
for weapon?
And why are hers so special? They didn't touch on that.
Were hers special? or
And
was
see, that's
was it
the
just
thing.
her power?
That's the thing. Hers are special because they're made from the Aegis. We mentioned this,
But they don't talk about that in the movie.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
See, my assumption is that maybe they're not any different from any of the other Amazons in the film, and that that's just her god power manifesting when she crosses her arms like that.
I think hers are still made from the Aegis. Personally,
So you think she wouldn't be able to do that stuff without those
no?
bracelets?
I think she still would. I think it just aids her.
Okay.
Yeah, I think just being a daughter of Zeus, which I'm glad they went with that because I figured they would. If
With that origin?
In the last episode, I talked about like the different origins, or at least the different origins sources of her power, and one of them was, she's the daughter of Zeus.
Yeah.
And they went exactly where I thought they were going to go with it, and so they kind of solidified that mythology behind her, which I'm so glad they did.
Yeah, it's the best
It
version.
is. It is. Yeah, I agree. But in that we talk about how her bracelets are made from Zeus's shield, and how she's able to wield thunderbolts and stuff like that. It's an established power from the comics. The fact that she's able to shoot lightning bolts. So I thought it was really appropriate.
It's more like wheeled thunderbolts. I remember you sent me a few like
Screenshots
of comic panels, and she doesn't like shoot lightning like Storm would. It's more like a lightning bolt spear that she could strike to the ground, and it like it's like a bomb.
Well, that's one screenshot. There's
it works the same way in this film, where she had the lightning bolt, she absorbed it, and then she shot it back, and it was like a bomb.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I thought it was really like during the whole movie. She was. I love the way they just tied it into the comic because a majority of Wonder Woman's history, she had the mythology that she was made from clay, and then at the very end of this film, we learned what we just learned like a few years ago in the comics is that she's the daughter of Zeus, and now she has all these other abilities that she's just starting to manifest and stuff like that. I felt like I was learning about her abilities along with her. She just did a really good job acting. Like even playing with the lightning, you bought into it, even though you may not be that familiar with the character. And I think a lot of people aren't familiar with Wonder Woman. I think
About what she can do and stuff.
and her background and stuff like that.
My wife Melissa was like, I thought she could fly. I'm like, well, she couldn't always fly in the comics.
Right.
Sometimes she could just jump far.
And that's why she had the invisible jet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know she didn't in this film. She sort of flew, but not really. She like glided, kind of. I think that's the best way to describe it. Maybe
Hovered. I don't know.
hover glide. She didn't fly like Superman, like where he kicks into like several gears and just like breaks sound barriers and stuff like that. Definitely not like that. It's more graceful.
I couldn't tell if she was just flying slow all the time or if it was just slow motion, because this film had a lot of slow motion. Almost every single action beat was in slow motion.
Yeah. I think I first noticed it going into the first battle on the beach right after she saved Steve Trevor and those.
That was a great scene.
That was a great scene when she saves him and like she's like standing over the water and she like dives in. I thought that was like a really good, inspiring, like iconic kind of visual.
Yeah.
And then the scene like right after that where you see the guys who are chasing him like peek through the barrier. That was really cool. That was really well done.
Great interpretation.
And that's actually another thing they never touched on in the film is why all of a sudden were they able to penetrate the barrier? Was it always just penetrable, or did like her activating her god power somehow make a barrier breachable or something like that?
Weaken it or something. Because they Hippolyta and Antiope kept making references saying that like the stronger she gets, the more easy she'll be able to find or something.
And that was, I loved that for the character. It really made me relate to Queen Hippolyta. The fact that she doesn't want her daughter to fight, the fact that she doesn't want her daughter to get powerful, because the stronger her daughter gets, the quicker Ares is going to find them. And she likes her paradise. She likes peace for her people. Great motivation.
Yeah.
When she does some kind of, she lies to her daughter, which is kind of a sucky thing to do. But she has reason. She has cause.
Yeah, I think so. I like the line where she said, "You have always been my greatest love, and today you are my greatest sorrow." I was like, ugh, right in the feels. Gonna call my mom.
And and just like when Diana, again, going back to like when she makes up this like story about the God Killer and she's like, oh, what about the God Killer? And she's like, God Killer? And she's like, yeah, the weapon that can kill a god. And it turns out that it's actually her. Like, I knew that was coming. That was a surprise for me, unfortunately.
Oh man.
I knew that Diana was the god killer, and that sword was just a trinket. But
that was a surprise for me.
oh really?
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
It was good. I liked it. I was surprised when the sword broke.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad for you. I'm happy for you.
Yay!
Okay, so no, going back, I guess I sidetracked us. Slow motion on the beach. That was a badass fight scene.
I like the portrayal of the Amazons. Now, there were a few times where they looked like video game characters, which I can somewhat forgive just because I know that this film had a conservative budget because they weren't entirely sure about the reception.
Right.
But the way they moved, I love the freaking horse flipping.
Yeah.
Like, it was like their signature move was like doing backflips and shit off of horses.
Yeah.
Like doing cool shit while doing a backflip off a horse. They did it like 3 or 4 times during the course of the film, but it felt like very Amazonian. I was like, this feels right. This is how the Amazonians should fight, you know? They're pretty badass.
Absolutely. And Robin Wright was so badass.
Yeah.
She was so good. I was so devastated by her death. I was like, oh, why?
Yeah. Surprising.
That hurt.
I like when she shot the 3 arrows and got all 3 targets. I was like, they need to do that with Hawkeye, man. Like, I feel like I was more impressed with her archery in this film than I have been with Hawkeye.
Any of the movies for Hawkeye?
Yeah, I kind of think they do Hawkeye a disservice. I think they need to show him doing more cool shit like that. As opposed to, he's not just like kind of like this bag of tricks guy who just does, you know, what any archer could do. He's exceptional. Mm-hmm. He can shoot multiple targets simultaneously.
Yeah.
And each arrow has a different effect and things like that. Anyway.
Yeah. And, like, you know, just the whole plotting of the first act, again, really buttoned up, really makes sense story-wise, I think. Right after this, they go into the interrogation with Steve Trevor with the lasso of truth. And that was cool. I thought he did a really good job, like, conveying the fact that he was in pain and being forced to, like, divulge these answers.
It was a cool lasso. It was a more versatile weapon than I've usually seen it portrayed in the comics.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you couldn't, well, maybe not in the comics, but definitely like in, I don't know, like even some of the cartoons, you know, and like the old Wonder Woman TV show, like you couldn't dream of doing everything she could do with this lasso.
She was using it as a shield at one point, like just whipping it around, and like Ares was like throwing.
Yeah.
And he, like, the lasso was like plucking the projectiles out of the air, kind of.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
She's a very defensive hero, isn't she?
Yes.
Which is really.
But she used it offensively really well.
Yeah. Both, and like I've been receiving some flack lately by people who think that spoiler, Wonder Woman should not have beat Thor in our last episode. But I'm like, defense wins championships. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then, you know, after the interrogation where you really get like the Amazons like learn the stakes of the film, and I guess we as the audience do as well. Steve Trevor is throughout the whole film. I don't want to say he's like a mentor figure because I think that was really Antiope, but he does a really good job with exposition.
He does.
It never feels like he's feeding you like exposition. Right. It's all part of the story, you know. It's not like just ridiculously done. Even like when he goes back to tell the story of like when he first captures the journal from Ludendorff and Dr. Poison.
Yeah. Like
that, he was a total badass in that.
Yeah, that was a great scene.
It was, and you know, it sets you get to see the villains for the first time. I do wish that we got to see something a little bit more horrifying come from Dr. Poison, because like the person she's first testing it on, he's wearing a gas mask, and you start to see the mask crack, and then like it doesn't, and then
so she rips it off.
But like you don't see the horrifying element.
You don't see what happens to him?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know, I think you almost kind of, not that you needed that because the movie worked without of it, obviously, because it was a successful film. But I know what you could get away with. I've seen The Dark Knight. I've seen Two-Face's face.
In PG-13
you can see
movies.
some really horrifying stuff.
Yeah.
I think that would have raised the stakes so much more if you saw physically.
I think they compensated for that scene where the mask was in that like dome bubble thing, and they it cracked it, and then she like lit the flint thing, or whatever, that set everything on fire. It was combustible.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty effective in showing how dangerous it was.
I suppose. Again, that happens like later on in the film, though. I mean, it would have been nice to have it happen like right up front.
To be horrified up front.
Yeah. But like that whole scene when he's describing, like, he leaves and he's just a total badass in this film, and he was funny too. Like when he's in the like healing, you were healing waters, I think, like just like running his toe through the water. I don't know what it was about that. It was just funny.
That was weird.
I don't know. People laughed.
People did laugh. Yeah.
So
that was an interesting scene. I thought it was hilarious. It gets such a good reaction from the audience. So when he's like, "I'm above average."
Yeah, I didn't expect them to go that direction. Like,
you saw this movie with your 7-year-old daughter, right?
She was asleep by this point.
Oh, she was.
She couldn't stay up.
Oh, okay.
She was like really tired. Her bedtime's like 8:00. We saw it at 7:00, and like a half hour of it was previews. But no, anyway, I like, not that any of the previous DC films have been family friendly, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect them to go a nudity route, which I mean, I guess it's fine. Give the girls something to look at. It is sort of, in a way, their film.
Yeah.
In a way.
Uh-huh.
So it didn't bother me too much. I wonder if it will bother other people. I haven't heard anything yet.
I don't think so.
But good.
It was funny. It was funny.
It shouldn't.
It was what is that? What? Oh, that's my watch.
Yeah. That watch. That was a good setup. That was a good setup for the end when he gives it to her. Like, you didn't need any words. You just knew what was happening just because of that watch. Because he gave her that watch.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
Yep.
Anyway, Chris Pine's performance was great in this film.
I loved his performance in this film. I think this is his best performance that I've ever seen him in. I think he'll really, I don't know, be remembered for this role. I think it's despite him, kind of playing, he didn't really play second fiddle to Wonder Woman. They were almost equals, despite her obviously being much more powerful than him.
Yeah.
And like, I like that aspect, that they didn't sell him short in this film.
It's so true. Like, I feel like one of the things I really hate in other superhero films is when they try and like force a romantic kind of aspect to the film, just to like cater to like maybe an audience that likes that. Mm-hmm. But I always feel like they have a really hard time in male-led superhero films with making the romantic interest not a damsel in distress.
Yeah.
Like, they always serve that role, and it's always like kind of irritating.
Yeah.
This movie is like a great example of how you incorporate the romantic interest into the story without having them seem like they need to be rescued all the time.
And he was rescued a fair amount in this film, but they got the relationship right. Like, there was a nice trade-off there, I think.
Yeah.
I would absolutely like to see that, more of that type of relationship in male-led superhero films. Like, I could easily see, like with Sharon Carter and Captain America, that type of relationship happening if they do another Captain America film. I think that's what you want to strive for. Yeah,
I'm just tired of hearing like actors say like, "Oh, and this is a damsel kind of in distress kind of role, I do a lot of things in the film," and then it's like Natalie Portman in the Thor movies. It's like, no, your whole thing is like being hung up on how hot Thor is and getting saved by him, and I don't know. So I think that was awesome. Her when she goes through the tower to get the artifacts. Oh, I have do you think the bull had any significance?
I think that was Zeus.
Thing. You think it was Zeus?
I think it was Zeus.
Okay, I'm not the only one. Okay, because in the mythology, he appears as a bull occasionally.
Yeah, I think he was like watching his daughter, kind of like at her superhero inception kind of thing.
It was just too random for it not to be like a coincidence.
Right.
But anyway, I really wish there was a Wonder Woman video game, because I would love to play the levels where she sneaks through the tower collecting all the items for her Wonder Woman get up. I don't know. I just thought that was cool.
I'd be surprised if
she's
that
like jumping through windows and stuff like that. It's like, do they not make video games based on movies anymore? Come on, I miss those.
Well, it's because they all suck.
Spider-Man 2 was good.
That was a good one.
That actually may have been the only good one.
Yeah.
So yeah, she steals all of those, and they leave the island, but Hippolyta runs into them before they do, and again, it was sad. I also wasn't sure if before they left when she says like, "If you leave, you may never return." Like, was that?
Yeah, was she saying you might never return, or you can't,
must not return?
Yeah.
That I even seeing it the second time. It's a good delivery. It's ambiguous.
Yeah. Yes.
It makes sense that because seeing this film, you have to beg the question like, why did in BVS has she never returned to Themyscira? Why is she working at the Louvre? You know. So I hope they address some of that in Justice League, maybe.
Yeah.
And then so
this pretty much starts the second act.
Yeah,
once they leave the island.
Once they cross the threshold, once they cross the threshold, right away they're saying, this is sort of like my movie mission. Steve Trevor's like, I need to get this book to the generals, and Diana's like, we need to stop Ares, and Steve's like, Ares, who the hell is that? But it led up to like another kind of risque kind of scene with them talking about reproductive biology.
Yeah. Yeah, that was interesting. That got a lot of chuckles, too.
Yeah, it was funny. Risque, surprised they included it.
Pretty risque, yeah.
Yeah, super. So, by this time they're in London. We also have set up now that Ludendorff is being set up as like a strong antagonist because he inhales that super serum gas that makes him strong.
Yeah.
Which I guess works. I didn't really care for it. Why not give it to all the soldiers? That kind of thing. Because she had like a box of those blue pills.
That's true. That might almost be a more effective means of winning causing destruction than actually, with the gas that'll kill both sides. Eventually, if you use that gas enough, you're not going to have troops anymore, you know?
What did you
That's true. I didn't even think about that.
What did you think of Danny Houston?
I thought Danny Houston was fine. It was a good kind of red herring.
It was kind of hammy.
He was a little hammy, especially in that scene where like they're joking around and she throws in the gas mask and she's like, that won't work. And he's like, they don't know that. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, that was so mustache twirling. It was, I really wish they did in that scene. I wish instead of like walking out and then like throwing the gas in there, if he would have inhaled one of those gas things and just like hulked out on those other generals and just beat the shit out of them. Because we never really get to see him like punch other people or punish other people with that strength.
Mm-hmm.
I think if he would have like just punched the other generals to death and then like other soldiers come in to stop him with like guns, so he like kind of flees and then she throws in the bomb, I think that would have been a better scene.
Yeah, maybe. I guess.
Personally, if I would have written it, that's how it would have been written.
Yeah.
But also, what about Dr. Poison? What'd you think of her?
I thought she was creepy as hell.
She was.
I like her voice. Her voice was pretty fantastic.
I just like her face acting too.
I thought she would be a little bit more sympathetic character than what she was. She wasn't really sympathetic until the end.
Yeah, when you saw her real face.
When you saw her real face, but like before that, she's just evil and scary. And I think a good bad guy. I mean, a minor bad guy, obviously, but good for what she had.
It was a really powerful setup towards the end when Ares sort of like was egging her on to kill her.
Yeah, like this is the worst of humanity.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm kind of glad that it was a woman, just because like I think it's really easy like in a film with a female superhero to like make men the enemy. I think they could have gone that route, but they didn't.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And just kind of like there's no. I really like the fact that there was like no gender bashing in this film.
Yeah. Like
there were evil men and evil women and good men and good women. It was a good balance.
Yeah, like I would agree with that. I think the film was very feminist in the sense of like the core feminism concepts of like equality and promotion of women. Like I heard some dumb commentary, especially in the wake of the whole Alamo Drafthouse event thing, that this film had more like militant man-hating feminism. Which it didn't, which is good. Like that was the right way to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you're militant anything, I think you need to take a step back and realize exactly how people are influenced. Yeah. It's usually counterproductive to try and make your point forcefully or angrily. Yeah. And I think this film was like wonderfully feminist.
Well, like, and even the way they did like Steve Trevor, because I remember like in the Wonder Woman cartoon that came out years ago that was rated R, like Steve Trevor was like this like womanizing kind of like. making like crude kind of jokes and stuff like that. They didn't do that with Chris Pine. And that's so awesome that they didn't do that.
Yeah, kudos to the writers.
I'm really glad. I mean, the closest we came was probably Samir, where like he sort of said things like, I am both afraid and aroused, which was funny. And then later on, like he says the things that like all the guys are thinking, where it's like, I mean, there's an island of women like her and no men? How do we get there?
That was about as chauvinistic as it got, but even that was fairly harmless,
Yeah, I thought so.
Because he was a good guy, and he was you could tell he still respected her very much.
Yes,
despite being attracted to her.
Yeah, and she held her own when he was flirting.
Yeah,
he would try and say things like "Your smile is as soft as your eyes" or some bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So actually, I was going to talk about the bar scene, but before that, in the London scene, one of my favorite parts of the film when she was decoding the Sumerian and what was it? Ottoman text. Yeah. And then there was that one douchebag general who was like, or Steve Trevor was like, thousands of soldiers will die, and he was like, that's what soldiers do. I was like, you freaking douchebag.
Yeah.
And then like she told him what for, and I thought that was really good.
That was a good scene.
She was saying exactly. I think it was probably one of the highlights of the themes of the film. Basically, what she was saying to him was basically like he's a coward for not being on the front lines. Like life matters.
Yeah.
You can't be so cavalier with it.
The whole thing where she brings up, why the generals aren't fighting and dying with their soldiers. I never thought of that before, honestly.
Yeah.
Like for like contemporary times, like that should be a thing. That should be a thing. I mean, I understand why you need like military leaders and stuff like that, but when you have military leaders who aren't also willing to, not to get political. I don't want to get political, but I liked that. I enjoyed that.
No. Oh, okay. Well. There is a reason why you don't have great military minds fighting alongside military units, because you need those minds control. You need them to control the strategy and everything.
Yeah,
like that.
They may be good at strategy, may not be good at fighting.
Right, exactly. So that's why. But I think she has a point in that when you do not go onto the battlefield, when you're not faced with the horrors of war, you become very apathetic.
Yeah.
And you become, losing lives is not a huge deal with you. Like everything is a pawn. And I think that's the problem. I think at least if you are a military strategist, you should at least have some exposure to whether you're next to the battlefield or in the fight or whatever, to exactly what is happening to your men.
Right.
Yeah, I think that lends some perspective. I think
that was great.
I think that was her point.
It was like a great scene right after that too, when she told him off and they go outside and he's like, "We're going anyway." And she's like, "How can I trust you?" He wraps the lasso around him. He's
I'm taking you to the front.
I'm taking you to the front. We're probably gonna die. This is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Great scene.
Great. We also skipped over the alleyway fight, which I thought was good. It was very Superman 1.
Like unashamedly.
Yeah,
Superman 1.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Good homage.
Yeah,
good homage.
And Etta Candy was in that scene too. We skipped over her.
Etta Candy.
Okay.
I didn't like Etta Candy. I'll be honest. I thought she was most successful in the whole dress up montage thing.
Yeah.
But after that, didn't need her.
The thing about her is that I feel like her most humorous moments were all spoiled in the trailers.
Yeah, probably.
They were all put in the trailers, I think.
In the bar scene, she had some reactions that absolutely made no sense to me. Like,
she was like,
no. Yeah. What was that? Those weren't even words.
I think it was just the actress just kind of like improvising. She's a funny actress. She was in The Office.
No, she wasn't improvising. That's not improv. That's her not knowing how to improv.
I still think she was maybe, but I think she did a good job.
Like, I think a better actress would have said something actually witty right there, as opposed to grunting, like not saying words.
I think that I forget the actress's name. I think she did a good job with Etta Candy. I'd be surprised if we saw her anymore. Like, I doubt she'd be in a sequel or anything like that.
I'm just glad she was in the movie as much as she was. I actually thought she would have a bigger role.
Me too. I thought she was going to be in it a lot more too.
But she didn't. Thank God. No. Because I was like, what? Yeah, go away.
But no, like, she had some good line delivery. I thought you may not have liked it, but like when she says like, To be honest, I don't think he will, or something like that. I don't know. She
What?
just has like a
Oh, when Ares asks her if
Yeah.
Steve Trevor will obey him.
yeah. And she just has a good like she knew who that character was, I suppose, and she wasn't afraid to do what that character, what she felt that character would do.
Like
And
Grunt.
and it may not be what you like, but that was the character, I guess. I don't know.
You know what I would have done to tighten up the second act if I were the scriptwriter? Because I don't think you could have done this in editing with what they shot. But I would have had them go from the meeting where he says we're probably going to die. I would have had Sir Patrick come
yeah.
out at that point, say, I think you should go out and do this. Not even pay him, but like, give him his blessing. And then from that point, I think he should have met Chief and Charlie and Samir all at the same time, like near their destination, and then just go from there. Like, I think too much time was spent
In the bar.
on stuff that I didn't really care about. And like the whole campfire scene, that was like, those two scenes could have been condensed into one scene.
Yeah.
And made it a little bit more brisk.
Just to touch on Sir Patrick again real quick. Why the hell was he negotiating an armistice? Why was that so important to Ares? Because I didn't get the first time, and then the second time
I still didn't get it.
He all he said was like, I spent my time negotiating an armistice I know the men can't keep.
Yeah.
Then why were you doing it in the first place?
You could have been doing stuff a little bit more productive toward your goal, I guess. Like,
Well, why?
he could have been a German general, or
Right.
a British general or something.
Why did Ares have to be a British senator? I think he was.
Yeah, he's a member of parliament.
Yeah, of all the things you could do, why would the God of War choose that?
Yeah, and why would you potentially work against your own plan? Like, the whole reason they did that was just for the twist, to make it the most. Like, the guy who seems to be fighting for peace the most is actually the bad guy.
Yeah,
And that for the surprise value. Otherwise, there's no reason why Ares needed to be doing that.
and I kind of felt like when they did do the reveal, like it wasn't earned, like it wasn't like Diana did nothing to earn that knowledge. It was just when he decided to reveal himself,
Well, she became disillusioned with men, but here's the thing. As soon as she saw Ares again, she should have been right back to where she was. She'd been like, oh, the reason that men are still doing this is because I didn't actually kill Ares. So my whole previous thoughts, my whole previous argument with Steve about how men are truly evil at heart is actually... That was a misconception on my part because I thought I killed Ares.
And she may have still been too shell-shocked to... For all we know, she did. For all we...
Yeah.
But she was just like too shocked by the realization of what was happening, that it was Sir Patrick, that she may not have had time. I mean, she grabbed her sword again. She was navigating around the window talking to him to go at him again.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. The armistice thing just bothered me.
Yeah, same.
But to go back to like the three, I don't want to say
I call them the
sidekicks,
Howling Commandos.
The allies. The allies. Samir, I think, was my favorite. He was funny, a little chauvinistic, but like the actor who played him, just really good line delivery. He also had one of my favorite lines in the film, which was, like, we can't all be what we want to be.
Yeah, and we're all fighting our own battles.
Yeah.
Charlie was useless in this film.
Charlie was the Captain Boomerang of this film. He did jack shit. He's supposed to be this awesome marksman, and like he goes up to shoot and he doesn't. It's like, Charlie, get the fuck out of here.
Actually, I really liked it when they were leaving the French town that they saved, and he was like, "You guys probably don't need me on this, right?" And I was like, "Thank God somebody said it." But then Wonder Woman was like, "No, we need you to sing." I'm like, "No, we really don't. Don't do that."
Yeah,
you could just go.
Yeah, almost. Why? Yeah, each character, when you have an ensemble like that, each character should, do something. At least at the end, have him like shoot someone down from far away. Give him something to do.
Even he didn't do that.
No, they never gave him anything.
Like when they were fighting through the town, Chief was like throwing bombs and Steve was shooting him and stuff like that, and Samir was shooting people.
Yeah,
he was doing shit.
Exactly. That's why I was saying he's the Captain Boomerang of this film.
Chief was cool.
Yeah, Chief was really cool.
He was probably my favorite, actually.
He seems so wise. I don't know. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I liked him a lot as a character, and like you saw, it wasn't all just about the money. He was for helping people too.
And without the smoke clouds, he contributed. He contributed.
Yeah.
And Samir also was a great actor, and he contributed in that way. Yes. So both of those characters I thought were really well done. Stupid Charlie. Charlie, why didn't you die?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Why don't you go up in the plane, or at least use your marksmanship skills to like shoot the plane from a distance?
Seriously, why wasn't Steve like, well, Charlie, you haven't done shit. Get up there.
Should we talk about that death since we're on there? I didn't want to talk about it. I'm actually, that's one of the things I don't like about this film. I think the performance of Chris Pine was fantastic. As he was about to shoot the bombs and blow up the plane. I think obviously it was a catalyst for a great emotional moment from Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm. It sent her into God mode.
Yeah, when she sees him blow up. My issue with it is that it is fucking identical to Captain America: The First Avenger. He died in exactly the same way. He was in a plane with all this volatile explosives on it that was going to go around to different European cities, and he had to, get rid of the plane. Obviously, he didn't have a gun where he could have shot the bombs. I don't think it would have worked anyway because those bombs were more durable. Uh-huh. But he crashed the plane in the Arctic. Why did they do the exact same death? It was the exact same thing. They could have put the gas bombs on a boat or something like that.
Or on a train.
Because
a plane looks cooler, and a plane is also more... Like, he needed to detonate it in the air. That was his whole thing.
So that she could see it?
It was on a timer. It was, set to explode. He needed to get away from as many people as possible.
If it was on a timer, why didn't he just jump out of the plane and let it explode?
Because he had to That's a good question. I don't know.
Because he wasn't sure where it would land, maybe. I don't know. It just... It was Steve Trevor himself is pretty much a more world-weary...
Steve Rogers.
Cynical Steve Rogers.
I wouldn't say he was cynical.
Not cynical, that's not the word I'm looking for. I'm looking for, I don't know, like...
mature? No.
Realistic. Realistic as opposed to idealistic.
Yeah. He was a good spy. He was a good spy, like with his accent when he was like flirting with Dr. Poison and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No, I've seen a few like news articles confuse Steve Trevor for Steve Rogers. Yeah. And then the whole SNL thing with Steve...
with Chris Pine.
Chris Pine, saying, I'm not Chris Evans. I'm not Chris Pratt.
I'm Chris Pine. I'm 6 feet tall. Chris Evans is
also 6 feet.
6 feet tall. But they were that pissed me off the most. Like there were a lot of parallels that you could draw to Captain America. I don't want to name all of them because this is a very different movie, but that is the most obvious one. I feel like it was a ripoff.
You're a ripoff. Your face is a ripoff of my face. I'm older.
I just admit it was a ripoff.
A rip, I guess. What else would you have done? What else? You can't do a train.
Put it on a boat. That's what I would have done.
So all the fish die?
Yeah. Fuck the fish. I don't care about the fish.
Fuck fish.
What
was that from? That's from Adaptation.
Isn't it? Adaptation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering. Okay, so that didn't bother me. It didn't bother
obviously,
me.
Yeah.
I loved the way they did the death scene where like it happened, you didn't understand what was going on, they cut to other things, and then he dies, and then Wonder Woman realizes later on she like caught on to what he said, and it was so good. It was so good. I'm really glad they did it that way. I thought it was really effective.
Yeah.
I definitely got choked up. Dude, when he says, I love you, I was like, oh!
Oh! When she went into God mode, when he died, and she became, furious, she just blasted out of those tank treads and everything. Yeah. And she just started beating motherfuckers. I was like it is one thing to see a guy lose his temper. Like, it's not often that women get to lose their temper on film,
It's like so complete
like
rage.
I lose my temper all the time. Like I'll start cussing up a storm when I can't find my other shoe. It's rare that my wife will lose her temper, but when she does, you better watch out. it's something. It's a sight to behold when a woman loses her temper like that. Because like as soon as she started started kicking ass and stuff, I was like, oh god,
I'm sorry.
flowers, foot rub. I'll do whatever. Just stop. Calm down.
Yeah, hell hath no fury.
Yeah, I thought that was a great moment to see her like that. To see how angry and vulnerable and no, not vulnerable.
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
I mean, it was a vulnerable performance. You saw her emote.
She was allowed to be emotionally
Devastated.
Yeah, portray a negative emotion to its extreme, basically.
Yeah. She was just laying fools out. Holy cow, that was so awesome. She was just like, I don't know, like on a people mover, like what is it called at the airports?
Segway? No. Moving sidewalk.
There we go. She was, it was I thought that was really well shot. That was really, visually, it was just really cool.
Yeah.
There was a lot of really cool visual moments in this film. But my favorite is probably like that end fight, and when she emerges as Wonder Woman in the middle of the film. Like this is the first time we see her like in full costume when she's emerging from the trench and takes on the gunfire.
The No Man's Land scene was a highlight of the film.
That was another time I got choked up.
Really? What?
Yeah. It was just really, the music and the visuals, it was just really well done. And the fact that like she's like courageously, she may be superhuman, but just like no one is willing to do anything, and everyone keeps telling her like, forget about it, there's nothing you could do. Why are they beating the animals? Forget about it, there's nothing you could do. This kid's calling out for his mom. Forget about it, there's nothing you could do. Well, she does something.
Yeah.
And it's such like she has such a great agency in this film.
Right. Like objectively, it's easy for her to do that because she's invincible.
Yeah.
But still, I will agree that it had a lot of emotional weight to it. Emotional resonance.
Yeah.
I think that lasted for the rest of the film, actually.
I think
it's almost like, that's like where the film starts with its like uplifting feels, kind of.
Yeah. Like she's there to help the people. She's there not to stop, like this city from being destroyed or anything like that. She's just this woman was with her daughter and she's crying. She's gonna help that people specifically.
Yeah, and save that town across No Man's Land.
Well, that's what she ran into eventually. And that was a cool scene. When she first jumped into that building, like the editing was a little off in terms of like the fighting.
Oh, there was a few parts where like
she
would like flip kind of, but like it would cut and she wouldn't be flipped.
It was like I remember like there was this one scene where like she's like taking guys out, and then like she like turns and like there's like I don't know what it was, like a sword or a gun or someone's dick just pointed right at her. Then the next scene she was like just sliding across the floor. Yeah. It's like, what happened to the sword or gun or whatever that was?
There was a sweet move in that scene where she dropped her shield. The way she picks it back up.
Oh yeah,
was like very Amazonian. I want to say like the whole backflip off the horse thing. It was like this cool flip move where she picked it back up.
Yeah,
but it was like offensively.
And like Gal Gadot like did the fighting really well. Like this whole film.
Well, there was a lot of stunt woman work in there too. I saw quite a bit of CGI face. We'll say.
Yeah, I'm sure. There was one scene I didn't like. She like modeled for the camera. Yeah. Like right before she like kneed a guy through the window. I was like, I guess that's not appropriate.
That's for the promotional material.
Yeah, that's for the trailer. I'm not gonna lie, she's beautiful. She's a really great Wonder Woman. So perfect as Wonder Woman. Holy crap.
Yeah. Definitely attractive.
Yeah. And then even that scene, and then like the scene like once they finish clearing out that French town with like the sniper and everything, and her and Steve are dancing, and she was really pretty in the snow too. Gives him the Bambi eyes.
She had good hair.
She had really good hair.
Do you think that they boned?
They absolutely boned. And I was really surprised they went there as well.
Are you sure that he just didn't give her a kiss goodnight and then he tipped his hat and then walked out of the room?
That's always a possibility, but I think it suggested that he stayed the night. Otherwise he would have kissed her at the door. No, he closed the door with him still in it.
Yeah.
And,
Well, good for him. I mean...
Yeah, he died later on.
He was about to die the next day anyway,
yeah.
So, yeah. Good.
Good for her, too.
I think it was a little ambiguous, and I'm fairly certain they did the hibbity dibbity, but I wanted to see what you thought about it. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's what I think.
Again, I'm surprised they went there, but again, I guess I shouldn't have been because DC films are not that family friendly. Which that's a problem. They should be. Wonder Woman should have been family friendly. But I guess it was PG-13 sex. It wasn't sex at all. It was a kiss. And then they cut to the falling snow.
It was an illusion. It was safe. It was fairly safe.
Yeah.
It was less risque than the talk on the boat and the talk at the healing waters, I think.
Perhaps, yeah.
Yeah.
More than the nude Chris Pine grabbing his junk and stepping down. Yeah.
Would you have covered your daughter's eyes if she was awake during that part?
That's a good question.
Like, how family friendly?
No, I don't think I would have.
I don't know.
And why wouldn't I have? Because I don't know.
It doesn't show anything?
Because honestly, I'm drawing, like, naked dudes all the time on paper.
What?
No, because, like, I draw, like, comic
Did you just admit something to me?
No. Let me explain. Let me explain what I just said. Like, when I'm drawing, like, superheroes and stuff on paper, like, I draw the stick figure. And essentially, like, before I draw features or clothing on them, I just draw, like, the muscular form.
Essentially, superheroes in tights is the nude figure.
So. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Moving on. Let's see. The gala. I don't think we talked about that really. Mm-hmm. The Steve Trevor again. I've touched on this earlier when he was flirting with Dr. Poison. I thought that was a really good showcase again of Chris Pine's talent, and it was just an interesting scene too. I think it really worked because like when Diana did come in, like that's exactly what Steve was afraid of. He didn't want her to go in because she's so beautiful and distracting. Yeah. That he knew that was going to happen, and sure enough, I was kind of surprised.
In some ways, because of his lack of naivete, he's almost at some points more of the antagonist of the film than Diana. At some points, she kind of gets in the way of...
Were you saying Diana was the antagonist?
I mean, did I say antagonist? I meant protagonist.
Yeah. He definitely, like, drives the narrative forward. Like, Diana has a mission, but Steve has a plan.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And they kind of follow that plan. Unless Diana kind of sets them on a detour, like crossing no man's land.
Yeah.
I could agree that Steve is almost... He definitely has a lot of agency in this film, you know. In the gala scene, were you surprised at all that Diana just kind of let Ludendorff grab her?
Yeah, and dance. I thought she just straight
up
cut him.
Don't dance with him, assassinate him. What are you doing?
Yeah, if you really believe what you say you believe and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she is going to do that at one point, and then Steve stops her, and then she pushes him aside, which I thought was a good moment.
Yeah.
But by that point, it's already too late. And they really fired those bombs quick.
They did.
By the time, it's like as soon as Ludendorff got out onto that balcony, that viewing balcony or whatever, it seems like they had already launched him. So from there, she sees like, so the town that they bombed, was that the same exact town?
Yep. Yeah.
She got there mighty quick.
She did.
So apparently the castle was not too far away from that town.
No, and that's what Etta Candy said. She said you're only a few miles away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
When he said the town was named like Vern or something, and she was looking on the map, and she's like, "Oh, you're only a few miles away from Ludendorff and his gala."
For some reason, when I first saw the film, I thought that it took them like a whole day's trip to get to the castle, and then I was like, "Well, how does she get there in only a mere matter of minutes?" She must have been riding that horse fast or something like that. But okay, so that makes sense now. Yeah.
Well, the last few scenes do happen like really quick, even though like they're traveling a pretty good distance.
Yeah.
She's like from the castle to the town to the the base. That happens really quick. She's really devastated, obviously, by what she sees there. And again, we see some people lying on the floor, and I hate to say like we probably should have seen some like women and children on the floor just to feel her devastation as well. Not that like I shouldn't be devastated by just seeing men. Yeah. But
she was very clearly devastated. She was like screaming at Steve.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was an interesting scene where she almost like turns on him. Ever since they when you have sex with someone, it just changes your relationship. Like their whole relationship after that was so antagonistic.
Yeah, until the very end. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, until he says his goodbye.
Yeah.
Right after that, the scene where he's at her at the castle. It's like, no, you can't go into the castle. You can't go into the gala.
No, you can't kill that guy.
Yeah, no, you can't kill that guy. And then
You're corrupted.
by Ares. And then men are evil. No, they're not. And then
that was a great moment. I think that was an important moment where she was like, I killed Ares. These men, like she's totally thrown back. Like her whole world is shocked because her belief system,
shit out of that scene.
Yeah,
you could totally see that Diana was completely just like
her belief system crumbled,
flabbergasted. Yeah, she was like, just like no, this isn't how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, he's like,
why are they still fighting? I saw them killing each other. Why would they do that? So good.
Yeah, and she was like, maybe I am, part of the problem, or if I got what he said there, but he's like, but it's about what you believe,
It's not maybe it's not about what you deserve. Maybe it's about what you believe.
Right. Great line.
That to me was like sort of like the what is the line of The Dark Knight I'm spacing now, where it's like, you either die a hero, live long enough to be the villain. Just like this really powerful line that like resonares.
Yeah, it was the thesis of the film, kind of.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely.
Yeah, and she repeats it in the end fight with Ares, where like he's like, people are evil. Look at this one. You got to destroy him. And then she's like, I choose love. I choose not to hate these people because they're not all evil. If they're capable of something like love, then they're not worthy of destruction.
Right, and he's like, they don't deserve your protection. And then that's when she delivers the line, maybe it's not about what you deserve, maybe it's what you believe. I believe in love. That thing, so good.
Yeah,
damn good writing.
Great moment after that too, where he's like flying at her. I felt like at first when I first saw this film, I thought he had Magneto powers. Like I thought it was like, because he was just using his telekinesis on metal, and it made me think like, why doesn't Magneto do that more? Like he does, like he moves metal around a lot, but like he doesn't create a lot of like armor and
just like badass
swords and shit like that. Like that's what I would be doing if I had metal powers or even telekinesis.
Yeah, that was really cool because like in the comics, like he always has like a weapon when he fights her and stuff like that. In the first Injustice video game, like he manifests weapons, and I feel like this film was kind of inspired in part by that, in the same way that BVS was sort of inspired by Injustice. I thought Ares was really well done. He didn't look like I thought he was gonna look. Like I thought he was gonna wear like that cattle skull, with like the huge ass horns. They didn't go with that, which was kind of disappointing. They went for maybe a more traditional kind of comic interpretation. It was still cool though. Like when he like puts his fingers through the mask and drags him down to like form like that Spartan mask. Like I was like, oh shit, you're a badass.
Yeah. What's the actor's name? David Thewlis or something.
Yeah.
He did a great job with the role, despite
fantastic job.
It was almost against type because they were going for the twist and everything. But you get interesting results when you cast against type, and I think this is certainly interesting.
He was just like he's like a meek kind of scrawny kind of character, but then all of a sudden he becomes like this like booming kind of formidable god of war, and I totally bought it.
Yeah, same.
He had I know they did some digitization with like his voice and stuff like that. Like blatant. It did definitely worked though. Yeah, he was really good casting job. I would not have chosen him. But then again, I wouldn't have written him that way. It was really well done, though.
Yeah, I'm glad they wrote him that way. So
he was way more okay. So I said there were no surprises. Ares was sort of a surprise because they not the reveal. I'm talking about like the character, the way he looked, what he did. Total badass, totally powerful badass.
Do you think he's dead?
No, I hope he's not dead.
Do you think Steve is dead? Do you think we'll ever see Steve Trevor again?
I think we will.
In a Wonder Woman sequel.
Oh, okay. So, my hope for a Wonder Woman sequel would be that Hades would be the villain. That she would have to go down, and we'd get to see Steve Trevor. We'd get to see Antiope.
That's an interesting take. I was wondering, like, the first thing I was thinking of, or one of the first things I was thinking of, is how they would bring Chris Pine back for a sequel, because I really liked his character. And that was my thought was not Hades and that route, but that's probably better. My idea was that in Justice League, however Superman comes back, like she's gonna be like, people can come back from the dead. I'm gonna like steal whatever, like if it's technology, like steal this like chamber or whatever and bring back Chris from the dead or something. I'm gonna resurrect my old love. But I like your idea better.
Yeah, I like my idea better too.
Yeah. Let's Frankenstein.
Yeah. I hope they go that route, honestly, in the comic, because I was just thinking, you know, like Ares killed everyone on Mount Olympus, so who's the one god who's not on Mount Olympus? Hades.
Because he's in Hades.
Yeah,
in the underworld.
He's in the underworld. Yeah. I don't know. Just a thought. I hope they do it.
So the lesson that she kind of learns in this movie, she learns a lot of lessons. They're great character development from, you know, the naive babe in the woods to the fierce warrior demigod.
Yeah.
The lesson that she learned is that, you know, men are still good.
Yes.
Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yes. And I got the same connection. I thought this film had the same sort of thematic moral lesson as Batman v Superman. It was just a better delivery of it, or a less convoluted, more clear delivery of that moral lesson.
Yes. So I'm referring to the line by Bruce Wayne when he's speaking to her, and she says that men are shit or something. No, she doesn't say that.
No.
What does she say? Men are...
She like walked away from a century of horrors or something like that.
And then he says men are still good.
Yeah.
So what happened during that century? It's almost like Bruce Wayne told her the same lesson that she learned at the end of World War I in this movie. Why did she then disappear from all of humanity for a whole century?
I don't know if we're ever going to learn that, because we know Justice League takes place in modern day. The sequel has said, they've already said, like, it's going to be a modern day sequel.
It's not going to be like World War II.
No. Which could have been cool. I don't know.
Man, you don't need to do that.
Yeah. I don't know. But honestly, like, one of the things, like, if I could, like, suggest one improvement to this film, it would be to have Bruce Wayne hand deliver that photograph. And then she tells her story to him in person. Yeah. And sort of helps him further restore his faith in humanity. Yeah. Explain how her faith, or how she came to sort of have faith and hope in humanity. And it would bring him closer to that, so that he would stop killing people.
He would have liked Steve Trevor, I think, Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would like, for the sequel, I want to see Steve Trevor come back and have kind of his whole fish out of water moment. So because Wonder Woman had her fish out of water moment in this movie, I want to see the roles reversed, kind of.
You could totally do that. I mean, again, it would be analogies to Chris Rogers, Steve Rogers. Yeah, but no.
But dude, he's pretty much Steve Rogers. You've already proved that by his death scene, so may as well take it further.
But no, yeah, I think, like, you know, people are wanting Bruce Wayne and Batman to, like, sort of have, like, a more positive outlook, just to go back to that. Yeah. And I think having him sit down and listen to that story would have done that.
That would have been great. But it would have been another film in Ben Affleck's contract.
Damn it. Ben Affleck, please, just forget that. He should be in all the films.
He should have skipped out on Suicide Squad and been in this film instead.
I think that was the best scene in Suicide Squad, though. So, okay. I don't know. That pretty much brings us to the end. Yeah. The only other notes I really have is that they never named her Wonder Woman in the film. I thought they were going to do that, because they didn't do that in BVS either.
Oh, that's true.
They never said the name Wonder Woman. And then this film, I thought they were going to give her the name Wonder Woman, like they did in Superman. You know? I almost wish, like, Will Smith was in the movie, just to be like, so what are you saying? Like some kind of Wonder Woman, you know? Just have him do that. Just name up.
So this is a Suicide Squad?
Exactly. You know? So now, like, in Justice League, if anyone names her Wonder Woman, is she supposed to go, like, who's that? I don't know.
That's interesting. I didn't think about that. You're right. Yeah. Oh, there's the famous ice maker. Yeah, good point.
And then the other last note I have is the DC opening titles.
Oh, shit! Total ripoff.
Fuck yeah. They were awesome.
They were pretty good. I was surprised. I didn't expect
that. I didn't. Yeah, I didn't. Once they, like, started with Batman and Superman, I was like, oh, what? Oh, Cyborg, what? Green Lantern, holy shit! And then everyone, they like showed the like entire DC pantheon. You can see silhouettes of like Martian Manhunter and Hawkgirl. It was insane. I just totally. I've ever since then I've been like searching YouTube like every 6 hours to see if someone has posted that damn opening title sequence yet, and no one has. And I'm like, when is that gonna happen? Warner Brothers, you need to like release that ASAP so I could just like keep it on loop. Like I still wish I had like Google Glass. No, I never had Google Glass. I almost bought it, but like I wish I just had like a little corner screen in my glasses where that just played on loop continuously. It was so cool.
It was pretty cool. I'm surprised that they included Green Lantern because it seemed like with the inclusion of Cyborg, it seemed like they were including everyone that's going to be in the Justice League film, and then Green Lantern.
I think they're prepping people for Green Lantern. I think it's baby steps.
I think at first I was like, oh, they shouldn't have done that because people have negative connotations with that film. But I think it's brilliant when you put Green Lantern and you associate it with a film like Wonder Woman, which is a good film.
Yeah,
it kind of is like, see, these movies can be good. Like,
yeah. It's like Pavlov's dog. Like you see a good movie and then you see Green Lantern, and you're like,
vice versa.
You're salivating, and you're like, oh, is it because of Green Lantern? I don't know.
I thought it was obviously inspired by Marvel's openers. It reminded me. Remember, I think it was in The Dark Knight when they first got their updated DC swoosh logo, and it kind of had like a shot of like the Riddler from Hush and things like that.
Yeah.
I thought this was more well done though, and I hope it's in the Justice League movie too.
Yeah, I think it will be. I hope so, and I think maybe they'll just keep adding characters to it.
Yeah,
maybe like when the Shazam movie comes out, maybe Shazam will be in that lineup.
Shazam, yeah, that'd be cool. Overall thoughts, I guess.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So, again, I've seen this movie twice. I loved it the second time. I think the themes are really relevant to today. Mm-hmm. I think the movie as a whole sort of like brings a refreshing and idealistic sort of approch to the genre again that I think it's been missing for a while.
Yeah.
Because they've gotten I don't want to say dark, just just less bright and less hopeful, and I want to. It's nice to be able to leave this superhero film just like full of good feelings and hope.
It would be nice to see a Superman film that evokes these same thoughts.
I agree. A Superman film should do that, honestly. But so should a Wonder Woman film, and it did. And I think it was really successful on so many fronts, and because of that, I'm kind of wavering between 4 stars and 4.5 stars, but I think I'm going to give it 4 stars.
Same here. I'm going to give it 4 stars. I think it was a great film. I don't think it was exemplary like Logan, which we gave 4.5. Mm-hmm. I think it's just a couple below that just because of some pacing issues. I think it was too tight in some spots and too loose in others again. But despite its flaws, I think that it'll be remembered as a cultural influence, especially among young women. I think this is an important film. It's not the best cinematically, but its themes are resonating. Its hero resonates, and 4 stars.
Yeah. I think that if I could give it 4.25, that'd be great. The only reason I'm not giving it 4.5 is probably just because of like the villain, which again I loved Ares, but like there were just some things that didn't quite make sense.
Yeah, a few things that didn't work.
Yeah. Like again, why was he a Parliament figure? Anyway,
I'm digging off a 0.5 star for Etta Candy.
Come on. Just
and for the whole Captain America
whatever
rip-off stuff.
Can't help if it was done better.
It wasn't done better. It was done exactly the same.
No, I'm biased. I don't know.
All right. I think that does it for this review. Yes?
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and create a review badge and post it to all of our social media accounts, including
Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and Google+.
Yes. Go ahead. You could reach out to us on those accounts as well. Let us know what you thought of the film. and if you agree or disagree.
Yeah, I mean, we're just two guys, with our guy opinions. If you're a female listener, I'm actually really, really curious to know what you thought of the film. My wife loved the film; she really, really loved it, and so I'm. It would be really encouraging to hear if you also loved it as well, or if you didn't love it, let me know. Yeah. Let us know.
So in a couple weeks, we'll be having a dual episode.
Yes.
I don't know who it's going to be yet.
No.
We'll have to figure that out, but stay tuned. And that's when our dual episodes are when we put a DC character against a Marvel character and then talk about who would win in a fight.
Send us some suggestions.
Yeah. We'll go with one of those. But that does it for this episode, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Do you want to give the hint?
Oh, the hint. That's right. I almost forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, so this week's trivia question was the woman who modeled for the cover of the first ever appearance of Swamp Thing also co-created a Marvel character who will make their first film appearance next summer. Who is she? And the hint is the Swamp Thing issue in question that she modeled for is House of Secrets number 92.
Yeah. It wasn't Alec Holland who was on that cover. It was a different Swamp Thing.
Yeah, Alex Smith or something like that.
Something like that. Alex something.
Alex something.
Yeah.
So, if you know the answer, go ahead and let us know, and you will be eligible to win a no prize from us.
Yep.
So, we'll see you again in 2 weeks, guys. Until then,
up and away.
true believers.